Hey guys, good morning. I'm just kidding. It's a new day here, but we're back. I wanted to do this stream at the start of the day, just after midnight here, 17 December, because today I'll be watching both seasons of Witcher, the series. So just a short stream today. And for this short stream today, I decided we do Jibber. This is number 26. We're gonna be talking about Beastmen Rework. So just a bunch of yapping here. I don't really prepare anything for this, so we just talk, on the go. And keep in mind, guys, as usual, this is, personal experience. Strictly campaign on the highest difficulty. From somebody who has played the game over 9,000 hours. So let's get into it. We're gonna talk about in depth about this. We had, I think, one from the Beastmen before the rework. I think in that one, I have not really watched it, but from what I remember, we talked about, what could be done with Beastmen. And they actually did a great job with this rework. Great job. There's always room for more stuff, polish, bug fixing, things they forgot. But this gotta be their best work yet. Whoever has done this rework, keep up the good work. I just wish they, checked the bugs and polished some rough edges, which I completely forgot because they're abandoning this game for Warhammer 3. Same they did with Warhammer 1, so I guess they're busy. Warhammer 3 got delayed, and I guess all the manpower had to go there. This was released 5 months ago. Since then, literally no changes. The bugs are all still here, especially the ambush bug, which is kinda ruining the game. But they modified Taurox Rampage mechanic. It's got nerfed, in other words. So nothing has really been changed since then. This was our second time doing this faction. And you have 4 factions to pick from. 4 factions to pick from. We'll go in depth about pretty much everything. If I forget about something, guys, you just mention it here. We have currently a campaign in progress with Morghur the Shadowgave faction. So we'll get into that and talk there. But we have to show the faction selection screen. So this is the Beastmen. They're a Horde faction. They used to have little no mechanics, just a copy of Bray or VAB mechanic of old greenskins. And unlike the Warriors of Chaos, they were pretty much hiding and ambushing, so a little bit guerrilla warfare. There are more about this, but now they've also got some mechanics. The mechanics, we'll talk about this in the game, but let's see what we can talk about this while we are here. So there are 4 of them, 4 factions. Each of them have a unique name and a starting position, but they're all beastmen, and they're all connected by one mechanic in the game called Dread. So it doesn't matter with who you start, you can unlock other lords. So you're pretty much playing the beastmen, but you start as just one war herd, which grows. I think the devs have forgot to rename the faction to beastmen when you confederate the others. Similar to other factions got renamed, so if anybody has seen the faction being renamed, which means if you progressed really far with the campaign, like we did here, 375 KQ, the faction would change its name to the Beastmen, but it does look like the Beastmen don't have this, they might have forgot. Just, one cool thing, not really a big deal, just, I think it was worth mentioning. So, the Morghur the One-Eye, what is special about this faction of the Beastmen? They start in Estalia, so this is pretty much the difference between the factions. They have a different starting location in the world. They have different faction effects. And because of this, the early game might have a different feeling because of this. I think this feeling about the early game, I guess depending on which lord you go for, it might have a different feeling about how you're building your first army, but the Beastmen, it quickly evolves into pretty much playing other lords at the same time. if you ask me. If you know how to use their mechanics and if you know what's up, if you have experience, especially my experience, you literally don't play one Beastman, but you play all of the Beastmen with a little bit of catch. We'll talk more about this when we show the mechanic in the game. So, Morghur of the One-Eye has a faction effect, other than starting with a Khazrak, which they all got reworked, got unique skills now, and they done a good job with it. Faction effect, minus 15% for all unit capacity coverage. This is actually pretty straightforward. This one that mechanics dread. So when unlocking unit caps, the Beastmen have the unit caps. They don't pay for units. They use this red currency to unlock units, so you can add more of these units to the army. As you unlock more of a certain type of unit, the next one gets increasing cost. 15% is, I would say, almost significant enough to be a good faction effect. If it was like 20-25%, it would be maybe a little bit too much, but this is almost enough to, you know, just being stronger on its own. You could unlock certain units more and, you know, spam certain units type more. This is usually with units like Bestigor, Minotaurs, and the top tier units, the Gorgon, Jibber's Light, and the Sigor. This is probably going to be most affected but on these units. But overall, just the unit caps can unlock faster. You don't even have to prioritize unit caps. Not you can just use what you have. Since the regiments renown exist, the unit caps, I don't see why would they get a priority. If you know, progress fast with your lord, the unit caps doesn't seem to be a big priority compared to the other things you can unlock with red. I'm not saying unlocking unit caps is bad or costing unit caps, you know, it doesn't matter. It's actually very important, but it's not a top priority. And if you know what you're doing, the snowball gets really out of control. This is one of the balance things, but we'll talk more about when we show what's up with that. But as a faction effect, this is pretty solid. It might have been better with minus 20%, like, you know, unlock quality armies faster. It's all about unlocking a variety of units and quality armor faster. Beastmen of old, you know, just literally had couple units that could be spammed to their effect, but, you know, you just made it because they're easy, auto-resolve, and didn't have to work much for the battles. Doesn't mean the other units were not usable, but this is how it really went, you know, with the Minotaur or the Bestigor spam, for example. All armies get additional chance to ambush. Beastmen have their unique stance for ambush, and it's now better than the Skaven stance to ambush. I remember when this got introduced, the downside to this was the Beastmen didn't get a lot of movement. So they would pretty much basically move little in camp, and they would get to position themselves into ambush attack. The devs kind of forgot about this when they released the Skaven. They literally gave the Skaven the same thing without any downsides. They would use their stances normally, they would add access to full movement, and they would be able to march as well. So, since they changed the Skaven stock stance to minus 15% ambush, the Beastmen stances finally, you know, make more sense now. Because the Beastmen doesn't have access to really good movement like some other factions, because, you know, how they made a faction. I think a lot of people forgot about this when the Beastmen got released, regarding the Beastmen movement ambush. Because pretty much everybody accepted at the point that Beastmen ambush was the reason why the Beastmen didn't have great movement. And the Beastmen attacks were very strong. Even when strong before, you always ambush them in the beast paths. So basically, getting additional 15% ambush chance for every army, that is solid. When you combine that with the red effect, it's actually pretty good. Third one is evasion chance when using beast pets, plus 15%. So if for whatever reason you don't want to get attacked or you're fleeing with a beast pet, you know, this is, you know, situational. Rarely does mean anything. I wish this would be intercept and not evasion, but yeah. The first two are good enough for a faction effect, and this is a good faction effect. The fact he started in Estalia, the fact you have a very early game with Khazrak, and these effects are good enough for faction effect. They did a good job with this. Good job. Can't really complain about this. This is actually solid stuff. So the Lord effect, really literally, I don't think we need to go into this because they can really get unlock all of them. But Khazrak is pretty much specialized with Vanguard. Early units get poison, the Ungors, and he has unique hidden encampment, which apparently is hidden even better than the hidden encampment, which is also the highest chance to stay hidden in the game. So it's a unique stance. Overall, the faction effects and lore effects, they made it definitely more unique, and it's good stuff. Some of the stuff is, you know, better than the other stuff, but, you know, still, you know, they sometimes shoot, they miss, they are, you know, hit in the head. And some of the stuff hit in the head and some of the stuff missed. But overall, it's a good stuff. We do start with 2 Bestigors and Razgo Chair. This is amazing starting units, really. Amazing starting units, and we'll talk about the unit caps when we're in the game. We have the second Lord Malagor, which is a wizard. You can see a different start location immediately in the Badlands, and this is all that it is. Different factions, different start locations, different early game, and different faction effects. This one has cheaper cost for unlocking heroes. This is pretty good because it's 50%. Campaign moon range plus 10%, so this is a little bit weird. It doesn't mention really. This is a problem with the wording in the game. The devs really need to fix this shit, because you can see here campaign movement range plus 10% all characters. So we don't know if Malagor 1 is for all character, or is it for everybody, or just lords. Does it work just for him? Who knows? Nobody knows, because you know, there are clearly different people working on the game, and maybe there's a lack of combination, or who knows. But you can see here the same effect. You can go into Grimgor, you can see the same effect. You can go to Cal France, you can see the same effect. And then now you go to Malagor, campaign moon range plus 10%. What does it mean? For who? What? Does it work on heroes? Well, you're gonna have to test it, so this is just missing information here. My guess would be it works the same as the others, so everybody gets 10% more range, which is nice. Like I said, the Beastmen can use more movement, both armies, the hordes, and the heroes. If it works for all characters, this is very good. And all provinces, you can recruit all provinces, all hordes are more like it. Because, you know, Beastmen's don't really have provinces. Not even Hearthstone is literally a province. They have a different thing. They have regions. I don't think the all provinces things really apply to them because of the unique mechanic. So the Brave Shamans, the Great Brave Shamans get plus 5 ranks. This is very nice because you have mechanic dread, rewards of dread, which can give out plus 15 for both. So you can immediately recruit an immortal. Great Base Shaman is also their best lord, so recruiting immediately a mortal lord over rank 20, it's amazing. So a lot of good stuff. Look at this, second lord, great faction effects. Literally, you know, somebody done a very good job with this. So can't really complain. This one is even better than Khazrak, really. Better than Khazrak. Malagor, the old Malagor faction effects was so good that the other ones are just poop. Especially before the change to everything else. So, not playing with Malagor, you're pretty much playing at a handicap. Because Malagor gave everything that Beastmen were lacking. Growth, hero capacity, campaign movement range. Lord effects, not as important to mention here because every Beastman can actually get a Lord, but Malagor also has reworked Lord effects. He kept the leadership penalty, and he has the best beast pet. It's called Deep Beast Pet, so it basically gives you a massive movement, really big movement buff, and it is noticeable. It's basically just imagine marching buff to your movement, but you can use a beast pet which ignores any terrain penalty, just basically appear on the other side of the mountain or, you know, whatever. The other thing is called Sphere for Harpies. Yeah, this is just, you know, the usual Lord stuff. It's definitely more than some other Lords have, for sure. These things over the years, how the Lord effects have developed, has definitely changed the game a bit, to the point where some other Lords can have some really poor effects in comparison.
I am Mountain God.
Okay. The Morghur the Shadowgave, you can see immediately a different starting location, starts in the Northern Empire. Mentioning the starting units of Malagor, 2 flying units and a giant, that's pretty good. Giant will bully the lords and the heroes in the beginning, and they get 2 flying units so you can go around. Morghur here, with his Chaos Spawn flavor and his Corruption flavor. His faction, also good stuff, look at this. You get additional Chaos Spawn +4. It's currently bugged, so you could get +8 and, you know, get immediately 8, you know, mid-tier units if you want to use the bug. There's a replenishment increase, which is pretty good. Every Horde gets +8% replenishment, and it's Horde replenishment. It's not a replenishment in the region, like buff replenishment from the hero. The corruption is... Chaos corruption is pretty big in this game, so the corruption doesn't really matter, but, you know, adds a little bit more to the flavor of campaign, seeing things corrupted. It's basically just almost like the only thing it does is an aesthetic, because the AI has a massive damage reduction to Chaos corruption. Literally, other than stacking some corruption to get bonus to replenishment and bonus to leadership in fights, doesn't do anything. With the rework on corruption, this might do something. Chaos corruption has always been one of the weakest parts of the game, not just because the weak stuff around it, but also that the AI has high resistance to its attrition. With the extra replenishment and cheaper Horde buildings, this is just a solid effect. Horde buildings cost favor. This is kind of their gold, their money, and having cheaper Horde buildings get you up faster. The moment you unlock a tier of a Beastmen Horde, tier 2-3, you immediately have access to all the buildings. Just click, 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 click. The only reason you need population is for the core building. Having more favor ahead not only give you access to other units, especially those limited capacity at the start, but the higher stuff that comes with it, various buffs, abilities, and you can unlock this faster with Morghur. So get better replenishment, get cheaper upgrades for the buildings, and you start with extra 4 Chaos Spawn, which is this unit here. The starting units honestly are nothing special. Both Khazrak and Malagor have better starting units, and this is really nothing special. Nothing really special, honestly. The units are usable, but I would say that it's nothing special. Considering Morghur gets 2 Bestigors and a Rezagor Chariot, that's like some of the better units in that tier. And then Malagor gets a Giant with 2 Flyers. Meanwhile, Morghur gets a unit that he will have plenty of available, and he gets 2 units which have literally questionable use, comparable to what is available at the start. Ungor Raiders will outperform Senegos throwing axes, while these units can chase, and the Pigs, they're not as good as Chaos Warhounds, and the Chaos Warhounds are available on tier 1. And they have no capacity cost. Chaos Warhounds being available on tier 1 makes these units a little bit less. You know, you would think, you know, the Pigs, the Senegors will be better than Chaos Warhounds in the beginning, but fortunately they are not. There's something more that these units can do, like the Senegors could kite a heavy cavalry unit, or use its range to, you know, kill an enemy lord or hero. But this range usefulness of the Xenagos throwing weapons is not very useful for long. It's a short range, hits hard. This is a unit that fits more in the multiplayer than in the campaign, in my opinion. especially as the Horde gets stronger. Still, you can just turn off fire at will, put melee mode, and use it like a regular Senegal unit. So his starting units are nothing special. It's really hard to say what he would have gotten more over the other ones. Really, because he has +4 capacity here, giving him extra chaos spawn don't really make no sense. So I wish that was definitely something else. It's like, it's hard to say what though. I don't think there's really much options here. You can't really give him a tier 5 unit, right? Yeah, this is a tough one. I guess just you just go with it. The Morghur flavor is very good, a lot of fun. He's a strong lord that just going to make sure that everything suffers in his presence. There's a special raiding stance which causes attrition in the area. It's the raiding, you know, the raiding is pretty bad in the game, but sometimes you're gonna have movement for it, especially if you move in between regions. It doesn't cost you any movement to enter the stance, and you do have to do a certain amount of raiding for the objective. So situational, is it good? It's gonna be very rare when it's gonna be good. Maybe if you finish a fight in one region and he can immediately enter the next region to cause some attrition. This thing does not work on all factions. I thought it would work like this Skaven Plague, which ignores immunities, but it doesn't. So it's on and off. Of all the special stances, this one is probably the worst. The worst that the guys have. I'm not sure how much value is on the Khazrak stance, because the Beastmen is really hard to find them. I've not seen Khazrak being discovered in his encampment yet. So with the change of stances, this one is clearly the worst. But this is a problem with some things in the game that could be done better. Which is not just a thing with the Beastmen. Morghur's army has extra magic resistance, so if the enemy has magic attacks, will struggle to kill it. He's immune to Atalor and Awakened Forest attrition, so you can go into the Ataloran and get murdered by the Wood Elves. I mean, he can not take any damage from their territory. And his team is Corruption and Chaos Spawn. Campaign Corruption sucks, more or less. His Corruption battle is amazing. And what they done with his skills is pretty good. They definitely made him unique. Not just, some Axe Infantry with questionable abilities. One of his ability was very high toughness. But for some reasons, multiplayer, they've removed this completely for him, and yet still, 4 years later, he still has this ability listed on his text, but it doesn't do anything. He used to have moments of little invulnerability. He would take no damage. This is literally kind of pointless on him unless you're abusing something in the campaign. It makes sense they removed it, but AI Morghur could be nasty with that, because it's not gonna be the same use as the player. AI Beastmen need all the help they can get, and having stuff like this helps. If you don't really kill them in auto-resolve and you have to go into battle. I think they really nailed the flavor with this. And if the corruption gets better in Warhammer 3, it might even be something more. And we come to Taurox the Brass Bull. I don't even know what to tell you guys here. I don't know even tell you. When I was mentioning that Morghur, should not have a tier 5 unit because they're a little bit OP in the starting units. Well, this guy has a tier 5 unit. Tier 5 unit as his starting unit. And it has a tier 4 unit as well. When you compare it to the other starting units, this is like a little bit too much. It's like they could have then given Morghur a Jibber Slide. Starting with a Jibber Slide would be too overpowered, though, because Jibber Slide is most likely the Beastman's strongest unit on its base. This guy gets a Gorgon, a tier 5 unit, and he gets a unit of Minders with shields. So what's up with this guy? You can see here, different part of the map. He starts on the Dark Elf continent, and this is pretty much what it is with the different factions. You start on different parts of the map. You have different very early experience, and some of these effects are better than the others. So if you don't really care about starting on a different part of the map and the very early experience with these lords, there is really clearly only one choice, since all can be unlocked, and it is this guy, Taurox the Brass Bull. Why? Well, unfortunately we can't really show the Rampage here, so because it's additional mechanic on top of the rest of their mechanics. So this guy has cheaper dread, ambush chance, evasion. This guy has cheaper heroes, campaign movement, more hero ranks. This guy has its team with corruption, with replenishment, cheaper buildings. Well, this guy literally gets most of that and more within the Rampage mechanic. And not only that, this thing can just keep pushing you forward. Keep pushing you forward, which can unlock even more of everything. So, regarding ambush success chance, of course you don't get a higher ambush, but regarding the dread, he will get extra dread. Taurox will get extra dread, so all of the bits, the Morghur of the One-Eye dread advantage. The ambush success chance, extra one, is nice, but it's not really critical to the Beastmen. Sometimes it's convenient to ambush, makes things just one-sided. The ambush battles are kind of bugged in the game. The attacker, when successfully ambushes, will have stupendous advantage in the auto-resolve. And if you go into a battle, the AI is most of the times broken with half the units. So it kind of going for more ambush might just not really give you an enjoyable experience once you figured out what is going on. So this is kind of bad thing because they haven't really patched it. Harbinger of Disaster has cheaper heroes. Well, more Taurox can unlock this to Rampage. Not for all, but the Rampage provides dread, so it's just clearly beats this. More movement range, wait till you enter the campaign. This is for everybody, not just Taurox, but Taurox pretty much can outperform 3 armies, and he can do it all in the same turn if you do it right. So completely overshadows the faction effects of the Harbinger of Disaster. Literally, like, these faction effects don't exist. Replenishment rate and cheaper Horde buildings. Replenishment rate is pretty much the only thing that it a little bit lacks, but depending how effective are the battles and how the Hearthstones are placed, you might not need this. It definitely helps Taurox to have extra replenishment, because this Horde replenishment, the Warrior cannot provide this outside the Hearthstone's rally territory. So this is literally the only thing that he lacks, but only if you're not very effective in battles. I'm not talking about stinky cheese. Cheaper Horde buildings, kinda pointless, because this guy can fight extra battles, get extra favor, and totally trivialize any really costs. So we don't have currently a Taurox campaign to show you really this, but if you go watch the Slaughter Hunt Tribe campaign, there's a playlist of it on the channel. This is, by the way, before the nerf. If you want to see the full strength of this on the release day, it is one of the most overpowered, really stupid things they can do in the game. And if you're effective with it, if you have the knowledge and 5 head, you can literally destroy. One time, I was in next to Harganet. From Harganet, I went all the way to Lastria. Was it in a few turns? I don't even remember. It might have been on the same turn. And I didn't just move there. I killed everybody on the way. Yes, this This was Taurox on day 1. These things got balanced, but trust me, if you know what you're doing, if you have a couple of brain cells still working in your head, and are effective, even if they nerfed it by half, it is still stupid strong. Stupid strong. So basically, Beastmen Rework unlocked the Rewards of the Dread, Hearthstones and the Bloodgrounds mechanics. If you play with this guy, on top of that, you get the Rampage mechanic. Dick. They don't have anything. Rampage mechanic beats everything these guys got, with the exception of replenishment, but it is manageable. The Beastmen replenish on the move, and they can avoid most attrition. So, if you want to have completely additional mechanic on top of the Beastmen Rework, you start with this guy. Anybody can unlock other lords, even very early you can unlock other factions. We're gonna have to really go into the campaign so you actually see the scope of this, and to explain you a little bit more about this. Like I said, we don't have a Slaughterhorn tribe save here, but you can go watch the campaign, especially on the day 2, and see what's happening. It's the most disturbing shit in the game that was ever added to this game. Dread costs -25% for increasing capacity of Minotors, so the Minotors are cheaper. The Minotors are the Beastmen, one of the most powerful units. Before rework, it was the unit to use with the Beastmen. It was the strongest unit they had. Now with the rework, the Minotaur spam is still, you know, as an option, but not only it's doesn't really matter that if you don't have full Minotaur army, it's actually preferred to have 3 types of units in the army, I would say, with the Beastmen. The armies are going to be more effective with 3 types of units than with just 1. Especially how you can use your Dread. Even with a 25% cheaper cost here, you will unlock a couple of Minotaurs, but doesn't mean your whole army have to be Minotaurs. It's really expensive to go for that and unnecessary. But cheaper Minotaurs are very good, because not only Taurox benefit from Minotaurs, but other armies get stronger if they get Minotaurs. Like both Khazrak and Malagor could go with a couple of Minotaurs to give you that edge and extra damage on a faster unit. Siege battles and field battles, you know, go different, and nice to have a army that has a unit that grind and unit that swarm, and sometimes unit that go over stuff. The Lord effect is the Minotaurs get all extra damage. This basically tells you that his army should have extra Minotaurs, not just because flavor, because he has extra buffs for them. You could go full army Minotaurs, but honestly, if you ask me, you don't really ever need more than like 6 or 8 Minotaurs in his army. I've been playing most of his campaign with Taurox, in the Morghur's campaign with like 5 Minotaurs. He has an ability here, which I'm not even shows here. A lot of abilities are on the character when you enter the battle. Other factions don't really show this. But basically, it's some kind of explosion melee that causes fire damage. This guy's his base stats are so absurd that I don't even show what word to use here. It's sickening and disgusting how strong are his fighting stats. But when you look at him, he's basically legendary Doom Bull, right? And these are some of the most powerful Beastmen fighters. But on top of this, he has he's called the Brass Bull. His skin is next to impenetrable. He has pretty much just one weakness on his body. So he's just made to make the enemy you know, die. Just die. The River of Blood effect is really nothing special, especially because you're not gonna stay long in these regions. So this is a big miss with his Lord effect. I would say this is you know, an extra thing they added, which was completely unnecessary. I guess if they just had this, it would just look bad. This was just added as a filler. Just ignore this being even here. This is pointless. They even show this here. So 10% more strength for Minotaurs would look a little bit underwhelming. So they added him another effect on the campaign, which just affects regions. And if you play with him with Rampage, this is kind of pointless if you ask me. Doesn't do that much, especially after the very early stage of the campaign. It applies a buff That buff is, I think, leadership plus something, which you don't really need. It stacks with the corruption in the region. It would be much better if the River Blood applied to the whole Blood Ground or the province. As it is right now, it's kind of pointless, especially if you're rampaging. If you have confederated him with all the three factions, I guess it has a little bit more use until he gets a little bit stronger. But like I said, I feel like a redundant thing that really doesn't add anything. To show, I'll enter a campaign with this guy to show you some of the Rampage stuff, because I can't really show you here. Basically, it's an additional mechanic on top of the rework beast mechanics, which is only available if you start with this faction. Similar to you know, some of the other rework stuff like Greenskin. If you play with Grom, you get a unique mechanic. If you play with others, you get Dick. If you play with Ikit Claw, you get a mechanic. If you play with Clench, you get a mechanic. If you play with Clan Mold, you get a mechanic. If you play with other Skaven, you get Dick. So it's additional thing on top of everything they have already. And this is the main reason to start with this guy. It's kinda not good for the game, because it makes you play with other lords less. But like I said, their faction effects are solid, and they start in different parts of the world. So different early game, and you know, just a little bit different experience. This would matter more if they haven't done certain things, which we'll talk when we open the Revolts of Dread. So you can see immediately here on the top, there is the momentum, and this is the Taurox Rampage. He has a unique stance, Juggernaut Raiding, which I don't know why they didn't mention on the Solar Horn. I guess they may mention it here, but not on the when you're selecting things. So his raiding stance basically gives you less money. You're gonna go less money. So basically, you turn on his raiding stance, you get a massive movement boost. This goes well with his momentum. You basically win battles, you build momentum, and with momentum you build a rampage. And look at this, various abilities. Look at Dread. Oh, more Dread. Oh, more Dread. All of a sudden, all those Dread abilities from Khazrak faction effect and faction for the Malagor mean really nothing, because this guy is not only steamrolling and just pushing, which sometimes could backfire if you're a noob, but he's unlocking resources faster as well. These resources are part of, you know, faction effects of the other factions, so it makes the other stuff a little bit less. So there are 3 levels on the Rampage before it resets. So you can pick various things here to make army even more powerful. As you can see, these effects are give even more. He currently has 3 momentum. So basically, if he enters a rampage, you can use the momentum to reset movement, so you can keep going. You first have to start the rampage. You have to start the rampage, and to start the rampage, you need rampage marks. So you have to fight battles. So basically, an example here. You can put a Hearthstone here, for example, but we'll do, let's say we have a Hearthstone elsewhere. We'll raise in advance. So we get some momentum here, and we get the rampage marks. So he has to start the rampage so he can use the momentum things. These things will reset the movement. We just raise the settlement, we gain some movement back, and we can go for more movement. So you basically move. If you're rampaging, you would reset this movement, and then you move again. And again and again. You would just be able to keep moving and keep getting more of this thing here. So the key would be to maintain the momentum So you do multiple turns of destruction when the Rampage is going on. So just imagine that everybody gets one turn, but Taurox occasionally gets several turns on a single turn. So this is his mechanic. And everything that comes with this, battles, which bring favor, items, dread, experience. When used well, it snowballs out of control. This thing got nerfed. I'm not sure exactly what they done it, but I think they possibly reduce the amount of rampage marks you get from these things. If you do consecutive battles, you get even more rampage marks. Sometimes rampage ends and you can immediately start rampaging again. I think they might have lowered the amount of rampage marks you get per barrel. And they might have lowered the rampage bonus once the rampage is ended, because if the rampage ends, it continues to add the bonus for consecutive battles. And what you would do something like this at the end. You go raining stance. If there's another enemy close, you attack them as well, and then you start rampaging all over again, because the consecutive bonus keeps going if thereafter rampage has ended, because it's still the same turn. I think they have lowered that or completely removed it. Even if they lower the amount of rampage marks per turn, and you cannot continue rampaging after rampages end the same turn, it's still extremely powerful mechanic, especially when used right. And sometimes it's gonna be situational, because if you have powerful armies steamrolling to enemy territory, they might avoid you, and the armies might not be positioned to give you enough rampage marks so you can continue rampaging. But the fact that occasionally you can reset movement and do multiple turns inside a single turn is extremely powerful in a turn-based game. Extremely powerful. This is just, you know, I cannot really tell you how much, but every couple of turns, if this rampage happens, let's say it happens every 10 turns, the fact you will do multiple turns in your single turn can give you an extreme advantage, and in resources, and just, it's literally a steamroller that when activates just creates crazy snowball down the hill. So by far this is the most powerful thing the Beastmen have, Taurox and his Rampage. A reminder again, other Beastmen do not get unique mechanics. All the Beastmen have access to Rewards of Dread and the Hearthstone mechanic, but only Taurox gets the Rampage mechanic. He might not have some trivial stuff like some kind of bonuses that look something, but big picture, his additional mechanic beats everything 3 to 5 times fold. So even if they doubled all of this here, doubled all of this here, doubled all of this here, 6 lines of text, his Rampage would still probably be further ahead. This is a problem, you know, with factions that have been released later. They have gotten powerful mechanics, either, you know, fun, you know. If they just add a guy that gives you 25% trade to Bretonnian Knights units and looks like a blue-yellow painted Bretonnian Lord, people are not gonna buy this shit. We can look at it from that perspective as well. But if there is a completely different mechanics attached to it, that is not only, you know, fun to use, but when used effectively, very powerful, you know, people are gonna love this shit. The Beastmen Rework was incredible. Even if they didn't add Taurox, would have been some of their best work yet. Taurox is just, you know, pushing it just to the extremes. I mean, they do have to sell new content. I do love seeing new mechanics. I just wish other factions had mechanics as well. No mechanic, no mechanic, no mechanic, you know. Where are their mechanics? Where are their mechanics? What mechanics are here? Now this is what I'm saying. What mechanic? This guy has mechanic, you know, haven't really noticed. This guy has mechanic? I don't know.
The sanctity of life.
Oh, look at this, more new content. Oh, they have mechanics. They have mechanics. Even a free one has access to some extra mechanics. You know, things that we have played before, you know, they're missing mechanics. Oh, Mechanic? Nope. Mechanic? Nope. Mechanic? Oh shit, it's a DLC Lord. Yes. Mechanic? Oh no, free Lord, he doesn't get it. This guy is a unique faction, so I guess, you know, has some kind of mechanic, but not really, you know. Yes and no, almost. You know that headshot? No, they missed. Free Lord. Mechanic? Nope. Oh, the brand new Lord released with the Beastmen. Mechanic? Hell yeah! Okay. There's some exception with the free Lords. They do get some mechanic, but are not really strong as the new guys, the paid guys. Maybe as they rework things in the future, we get more faction mechanics like rewards or dread and the Hearthstones. The Beastmen were the absolute dog shit basic faction at the start of the Warhammer 2, and as they kept releasing all these powerful factions to their side, they gotten worse. They looked way worse and worse and worse. Gotten to the point where you put your dick in the drawer and just, you know, close the drawer, you know, 10 times and don't play the Beastmen instead. So basically, if you like to piss blood, you know, you could play Beastmen. If you had the patience, you get the rolling, and you just have to play a faction that is just, you know, requires some patience and still steamrolls once you get there. But they didn't have any interesting mechanic to get them there. These mechanics they got are not only they are fun, but they're actually quite powerful. In fact, so powerful that this is probably the only currently bad thing about the Beastmen if we're not gonna go into the bugs. We're gonna load a campaign in progress here and talk more about things. Sometimes faction just being much harder to play, even if it's not done right, is good enough. Like the old Crooked Moon. They were special because they were very hard to play. So getting rewarded for pissing blood, you know, it felt, you know, satisfying for people that like a challenge. But after the rework, they just become just you know, another Borlu. So we got a faction in campaign in progress here. This is faction the Morghur, Morghur the Shadowgave, and immediately something that you can notice: it's only turn 75. You know, guys, I'm not really one that, you know, rushes things. Sometimes you can see me at the stage campaign when I'm clicking faster, cause, you know, we don't want to spend 10 hours every day doing 6 turns. So we're progressing faster, you know, doing a little bit extra auto resolve if it makes sense, if it's convenient. We're clicking faster the skills, items, click, and we're just basically painting them up at this stage. It doesn't mean it's no longer enjoyable. I think it's still enjoyable managing these things. Sometimes, you know, saves 2 hours per day if you do it a little bit faster. So you might notice turn 75. Turn 75 and look at the map. Look at the map. This red things is basically everybody's our bitch in these territories. Or they're about to become our bitch. So basically, this is us in the red, turn 75. Not only we got half the old world, but we got pretty much control over all Lastria. There are pockets of territories which we didn't take, like this thing here is because they're kind of like unreliable buffers, might be undead, might be Skaven, which is slightly more reliable, might be other evil factions, you know, could be greenskins. So we don't really target everybody. We're pretty much targeting just the Ortide, the ones that will clearly got conflict with us. So you can see this is a steep amount of progress. Like I said, I was saying, I've never really felt the need to do as much fucking progress possible in the first 20 turns, 30 turns, like you know, like destroy the whole world in 70 turns. I've never really felt that need, but if you want to push yourself, you can probably at this stage have Ultuan and probably most of Sultans at the same time, because, you know, that's how fast the Beastmen can progress right now. And I think this is the worst thing about the Beastmen right now. You know, we'll get into more later. Let's talk about these mechanics they added. So the best thing about the Beastmen Rework is by far the Hearthstone and the Bloodground mechanic. So these territories in the red, these are our Bloodgrounds. How do we create Bloodgrounds? We have Hearthstone shards. You start a campaign with 1. You can create a Bloodground by raising a Hearthstone. For example, the new realm here, renamed minor region in Nordland, Dietershafen, is such place. And this is where we placed our first Hearthstone shard. You raise up a Hearthstone. Hearthstone immediately gives you a large garrison and gives you access to unique buildings. Unique buildings, I guess, special buildings, not really unique. But immediately you say, this is my place, and this is where you're going to steer shit up at the start of the campaign. So it's kind of hard to show you right now here, because there's overlapping Bloodgrounds, because we've been extending Bloodgrounds to have it look like this, like it's a mass Bloodground. But they're basically create this by overlapping Bloodgrounds. So basically, let's say Prague here. Let's say we decide we started in this area here, and this is how you do it. In the beginning, you're going to try to find a location that's most suited for the first Bloodground, a location that you can cause as much devastation as possible, because to progress through your campaign, what is attached to the Bloodgrounds are the Marks of Ruination. Marks of Ruination are gained by causing devastation in the Bloodground. If we were to raise a Hearthstone in Prague, or raise Prague and create a Hearthstone on the same turn, we would get this 4 devastation. This is devastation. It'll mark this as our Bloodground, and any area in this Bloodground cannot receive a new Hearthstone. Which means if you're gonna plan for a future Hearthstone, you're gonna have to put it outside this area. The area, the Bloodgrounds can overlap, but you cannot raise a Hearthstone inside a Bloodground. So this is for the planning, which means if you want to raise a new Hearthstone to extend the Bloodground, it can overlap with this Bloodground. Let's say you have raised Kislev for Oslo's help in Volsgrad. You now have, I don't know, 30, 40 devastation, which is a good amount. You don't need these numbers here to progress with their campaign, unlock units, unlock more armies, cheaper stuff. You complete the ritual, and now when you complete the ritual is basically do we even have any available to show here? Ritual completed. We basically complete immediately because we are at max donation, so everything that gets raised cannot be resettled. Is another thing. So why to complete the ritual? You can farm a devastation by fighting armies, or you can pretty much destroy everything. Doesn't mean if you put a Hearthstone here that you have to destroy Help It. The Skaven are actually one of the few factions in the game that can work with the Beastmen. And you know, as evil factions, you don't really want to fight everybody. You don't want to fight the Order and the Skaven at the same time. So you basically let the Skaven do their shit here. You work together with the Skaven. Skaven are easy to place as a Beastman. And you can always give them some money, favor, and let's say the vampires have declared war on us because, you know, bad relations, whatever, and we are at the stage now that it's maxed. So at that point, we literally just complete a ritual. To complete a ritual, you need 10 devastation in the Bloodground. Hearthstone in Prague has its own ritual because the Hearthstone shard is locked there. To release the Hearthstone shard back so you can use it again to create another Hearthstone, raise another Hearthstone, you would need to complete the ritual. To complete the ritual, you need 10 devastation, which this is 4. So if you get Kislev as well, would be 12. In the area, you don't have to target settlements, but it's preferred if they are a faction you want to destroy. But if there are a mix of factions like the vampires or the or the Skaven, you might consider, you know, just letting them have this. You might even just consider not even completing a ritual if you don't need a Hearthstone shard, so they can get stronger by resetting this faction. What happens when you complete a ritual? When you complete a ritual, two things happen. Three things happen, I guess, because for us only two things happen right now because we are max ruination level. So when you complete a ritual, let's say this is 10, which is minimal to complete a ritual. First thing that will happen, Hearthstone shard will get released, so you can use it to create a Hearthstone, raise a Hearthstone somewhere else. Thing number two that will happen, inside this blood ground, all regions will be locked to a defiled blood ground, which will increase corruption, and nobody will be able to colonize these things, these regions, until the Hearthstone is destroyed. And this is the main reason why the Hearthstones and the Blood Grounds is the best thing about rework. So you basically assert your presence and domination over an area, and unless they challenge the Hearthstone and your military, they will never be able to resettle this area again. So there is no more whack-a-mole. Armies sometimes will push forward, but because of the fast progress, and if you're very effective, they really can't keep up with this. This is, you know, part of that bad thing, because the fast progress. I'll come back to this later. So basically, nobody can resell this area. If there's an icon here, nobody can touch it. So if you click on the brass keep here, you can see here, this is currently blood ground. There's some overlap here. I can explain the overlap, how it works. So basically, let's say you have completed the ritual here, you release the shard. The third thing that happened that I forgot to mention, Marks of Ruination gets added. Marks of Ruination is basically a devastation. So all devastation you've done in that blood ground at the time you complete the ritual will convert to Marks of Ruination, which is required to progress in the campaign and finish the campaign. But let's explain the overlap before we get into this. So how the overlap works. So you can see here the blood ground of Prague. It currently that we see has Hellpit, Fort Ostros, Kislev, Volsgrad. This is currently this blood ground here. Overlap is preferred because it's basically just adjacent and you eliminate any factions that might challenge the Hearthstone. So you want to do overlaps so you create a massive blood ground and nobody will challenge the Hearthstone to take these territories back. It pretty much minimizes this chance of they challenging the Hearthstones to like almost never happening unless it's literally adjacent to their territories, and you're always going to be there with military, so they will not be able to challenge it. Overlap here, for example, Zavastra can put a Hearthstone. You cannot create a Hearthstone inside a blood ground. To create a Hearthstone, you need to enter a new blood ground. Which means Zavastra, Kesselrauk, and Berhafen are currently available, and Kappelberg, so you can plan the next blood ground. So you click on the settlement, and Zavastra here, for example, has these regions, but it also has Fort Ostros and Kislev. What does this mean? This means if your next Hearthstone is here, the Kislev and the Fort Ostros will switch to the next blood ground. They will no longer be part of a blood ground that was created with Prague. So the benefits of this is the armies in these territories will add to devastation. If a blood ground is really huge, it might get more benefits from the buildings, but the buildings will still be here, like the plague or the exhaustion from the chaos corruption. So basically Kislev and Fort Ostros will be unlocked, and they will no longer be defiled until you complete the ritual. So this is the issue with overlap, but I think that's a little not a problem considering what we just were saying. Overextending extending the blood ground makes chances of any of these Hearthstone being challenged to like almost nothing. This campaign in 75 turns, only one Hearthstone got destroyed, and it was this one. And at the time, we were moving in 2 different directions. So this area here was all the enemy, so they challenged it because it was adjacent. Instead of just keep pushing here at the border into a further blood ground, we were doing some other stuff here. We went after the Wood Elves to destroy them, because they were too much in the beginning. So this was the only one that got destroyed, and they needed 3 armies. So in this case here, creating an overlap here basically just extends this blood ground here, and you just keep going, creating one massive blood ground with overlaps. In this way of expanding the blood grounds with overlaps, you just keep pushing everybody out of this area, so they will not really consider coming back here to challenge the Hearthstone, because everything there has been destroyed. Your military will be in the presence. You have presence with military and massive garrisons. But there's a downside to it. For Ossos and Kislev might be resettled while you're trying to complete the ritual here. This only really matters in some situations. If evil factions do it, it doesn't really matter that much. As long as the factions you want to destroy don't do it, sometimes they'll do it and then you have to, spend movement and turn destroying them again. So this is the only downside to the overlap. These 2 will no longer be defiled because they switched this blood ground, and you need to complete the ritual to defile them again. And defiled regions cannot be resettled, and they have corruption. I think overlapping blood grounds is the way to go, because it pushes everybody out of the blood ground, and they'll not be challenging any of the Hearthstones. The more Hearthstones gonna be close with more military as progress the campaign, they will not be coming for it. They will literally be scared. Unless there is a faction very powerful, have no enemies, I don't think they will ever challenge a big blood ground. So you want to constantly go overlaps. Once the ruination level is done, you don't really care about the size of the blood ground. You don't really care about it anymore. Why? Because smaller blood grounds can fit more Hearthstones in a smaller area. So for example, can we find an example here? These ones are all adjacent. So you could basically plan it in such a way where you get Hearthstones even adjacent to another Hearthstone. Like in the situation with this area here. There's a special situation here with Carcassonne and Bali, but you get more Hearthstones. You get more powerful garrisons more settlements in a smaller area instead of them being with gaps. So basically, I can show an example here. This was a blood ground that we created here. It had only 3 regions. It was a small blood ground, but it given us an option to immediately create one here and one here, instead of creating one that will just be in the middle and might have all these regions in it. So smaller blood grounds means more Hearthstones. If you have a lot of Hearthstone shards unlocked, it is the way to go. But you will need more armies, and because you need to cover more grounds, more enemy armies. If you have more armies in the areas, you want to place more Hearthstones, especially if you have more Hearthstone shards unlocked. Not only you get more presence in the areas because of more of these buildings, but there is a building in the blood ground which gives a stacking bonus to Dread. No matter the stage of the campaign, you always need Dread. Dread is the currency which will unlock the other mechanic. So more Hearthstones in less blood grounds, more overlapping blood grounds, you get more Dread. But this also costs more money. So more armies, we're gonna have to fight more armies to get more favor, so you can also build this. So planning where to place the Hearthstone shards to unlock the blood grounds, there's a strategic depth to it. So you decide how much terrain you want to take. As you can see here, there are varying shapes of these blood grounds. There is an issue with this. This was assigned by the developers when they were creating this mechanic. Main issue with it is the Oak of Ages. Oak of Ages has not all of Ateloran adjacent, but instead it has Tobaro, Scale, and Merglano in it, which makes no sense. The Oak of Ages is inside the Blood Ground outside Ateloran, which means if you create Blood Grounds around Ateloran, you will not be able to raise Hearthstones in Ateloran, which is a big fuck up if you ask me. The Oak of Ages should not be inside any Blood Ground unless it's adjacent to Ateloran Hearthstone. So unless you have a Hearthstone Ateloran, Oak of Ages should not be assigned to any Blood Ground, like it's assigned to Castle Carcassonne, for example. It's assigned to this one here as well. Not on this one. Not on this one, but it's assigned to Castle Carcassonne and this one here. The Oak of Ages should not be assigned to any Blood Ground. Instead, it should be on its own, unless you have a Hearthstone inside the Ateloran already. So you get to a point where there's a weird regions assigned. Like, for example, Bilbali assigns Brionne and I'm pretty sure Margarita, yeah. So there's no logic to it. For example, look at this. Brionne is on the other side of the coast, in other land. This is no longer Estalia, this is Bretonia. So Bilbali assigns Brionne to a Blood Ground and not to Baro. Even if you take Margarita, Estalia is not assigned to a Blood Ground. You can see some very questionable decisions how these things are assigned. If you if you, for example, have Bilbali, Castle Carcassonne is not in this Blood Ground. But look at this. Land connection goes between Carcassonne and Bilbali. Bilbali has nothing to do with Brionne. Nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. We have switched Brionne with an overlap to Aquitaine, so Brionne is no longer part of Bilbali, as we created this one after. You see the Brionne has switched because the overlap. So Bilbali right now just has Margarita. And I think there's a fuck up here. For example, Margarita Blood Ground should just be Estalia. Bilbali Blood Ground should be Margarita and Carcassonne, because it makes sense. It's positioned like this. Carcassonne, for example, should not take Oak of Ages. Quenelle, I guess it makes a little bit sense because you can see it's close, but it's not adjacent. It should not take Oak of Ages. Kingsglade should take Oak of Ages. Wolf's Island should take Oak of Ages. Hall's Window should take Oak of Ages. Waterfall Palace should take Oak of Ages. Oak of Ages should be a primary spot, if not the main spot in this area to be a Beastmen Hearthstone. But no, it's fuck up how they're assigned. So you could play into it, or you can decide you want a massive Blood Ground. It's up to you. You can build more Hearthstones, play a little bit slower campaign. A little bit slower, especially early on. Or you can just pick the largest Blood Grounds possible. Keep in mind, if you decide this one here is a Blood Ground, this is a massive Blood Ground. You can't clearly see it anymore because of the overlaps. But it has a large area. This one was giving us, I think, over 50 marks of ruination because of devastation. But because of this, it puts Coron inside the Blood Ground. Coron should not be in this Blood Ground. I mean, they don't even have land connection, for fuck's sake. They don't even have a land connection, but it's assigned. And this means if you take this massive Blood Ground, which is beneficial in the early game, you will not be able to create a Hearthstone in Coron. And capitals of factions like Coron or Bretonia have unique Hearthstones. Like you can see Aldorf here. It will provide bonus to melee attack against the Omen and 5 additional ranks of the Brave Shamans. So you might miss out on the unique Hearthstones just because you decide you want to have a massive Blood Ground. Sometimes it's not going to be convenient to plan this, or sometimes it'll take extra turns, but I think, you know, for the future this should be planned even better. I've just decided to go for massive blood grounds because I didn't really care what bonus was here. I just wanted to progress a little bit faster with ruination. So regarding this progress here, it could be limited how these are assigned. These are assigned arbitrarily, if you ask me. And the Oak of Ages, I think, is the primary example of this. So you can see, you know, the areas will vary, and I think this is all arbitrary. There should be some sense and logic to it, but you have to consider the world is massive. The person who does this, I feel like, does not have the knowledge of that of the game, and it feels like it was rushed as well. I feel like the person didn't even give a shit about Mortal Empires. He might care more about Outer Vortex. That's another problem when it comes to Outer Vortex and Mortal Empires. I would bet whoever was doing this, it rushed it. And Bilbali and Oak of Ages are the proof of that. But like I said, you can see how they extend, and you can see what they take cover. The only downside, if you want to do it, you know, to the point where it would make sense and you get all the bonuses, you would need to place more Hearthstone shards. You would need more Hearthstone shards, and you need to place more Hearthstones. So, for example, let's say this is an important location. Instead of overlap blood ground, you would need to go around it. So, you see this? So you might need to go ahead. Instead of like this as well. Instead of like this. So you could put a blood ground here, a Hearthstone shard here, and then you could put one here, and then you put one here. So you get 3 different Hearthstones in a really small area, all adjacent, instead of getting like one here and, you know, somewhere here where it takes the other region. So if you really need this as a capital and this like a special location, so you can see you know, what area, so you can plan for it. And the rest that is not affected by it, it will just require even more. So basically you need to create more Hearthstones, and you need to put them in different regions. And this is not convenient, especially as you're progressing with less military. Because in this campaign we are Morghur and we are Northern Empire, and we have confederated, incredibly lucky, we confederated Taurox, but he was on another continent. And trying to get Taurox from here to here seemed risky, not worth it. Instead, he was starting to do his own thing. So our second army was not there, and so it was not really worth it to do it. At that point, we didn't even unlock the second army, so we couldn't just, you know, disband Taurox and recruit a new one here. So it's a strategy game on high difficulty. Sometimes, you know, what's optimal and what's convenient don't really work at that stage of the campaign. But like I said, what makes sense they should really have put better regions inside these blood grounds, and not do it arbitrarily, and it felt like it in some parts of the map is just rushed. So the Hearthstones and the blood grounds is the best mechanic about the Beastmen. You use the Hearthstone shards, create raise Hearthstones, complete the rituals with the devastation area, release the Hearthstone shards, you get marks of ruinations, you can expand the blood ground or go somewhere else, create other blood grounds. If you put blood grounds here, here and here, and there's a bunch of gaps in between, a bunch of factions, literally 20 factions, well, these Hearthstones will get challenged. If you create one massive blood ground, this challenge will be almost non-existent. So you basically just create one massive area where everybody, small factions, will get intimidated. Instead of having one blood ground here, one here, one here, and a bunch of minor factions, you're pushing everybody out of the way, and risk of resettlement and the Hearthstones getting destroyed is next to nothing. The Hearthstones get powerful garrisons, they'll intimidate minor factions, and you will just create a massive area where everybody will just be intimidated and nobody even consider touch these territories unless you let them. The starting garrisons are a little bit too big, if you ask me, considering that these buildings also add more garrison. So it's a little bit too much for people to get challenged. If AI sees the big garrisons, unless they're not fighting everybody, unless they have multiple armies, unless they're adjacent, there is a very good chance they will not challenge it. Especially if they have seen your military in the region, so they will not touch it. These garrisons also get powerful, and as you unlock more stuff, they get powerful ahead of the enemy. I think they can be already mentioned at this point. If you're doing this well and you're progressing through the campaign, you know, with all the knowledge you have, and you're basically using all of this what's available to you, it feels like you are on legendary difficulty and the AI is on normal difficulty. This is what I wanted to say. So that's how this mechanic feels. And other things are feeding into it, which just make this even stronger. So it feels like you're playing with legendary buff, while the enemy is playing with normal buff. And I'm talking about the campaign difficulty. Because not only you get a lot of this opened, but if you do it well, it gets even more powerful to the point when it's super overpowered. And if you're doing this even further well, with unlocking of the Dread, it feels like you are getting so much ahead that nobody can keep up with you anymore. Nobody. It's like you're the one with plus 200 growth and enemy has plus 10 growth on their stuff. And when you are doing this well, it seems like it's like you're just unstoppable, and your massive snowball has turned into a fucking avalanche that doesn't stop anymore, and it's just destroying the whole world from multiple points, even in the early game. Other mechanic that's attached to the Hearthstone shards is basically the progress bar, which is ruination. Ruination levels. This is how the Beastmen progress. The hardest part of this is to unlock level 2. Level 2, which unlocks another army, and this is you know, where it begins. So basically you get devastation. This ritual was completed here. It was tells you, you know, how much you got. This is actually not correct right now. This actually changes over time, but since we're at max, you can see recently we got 10 here, 10 here. Usually we'll get way more than this, because you were planned for to try to get to the next level this early. So as you complete the rituals, devastation gets converted into marks of ruination, and even if the Hearthstone gets destroyed, you still keep this. And this Hearthstone got destroyed after giving like 50 devastation into ruination, and we have taken it back, and we have completed the ritual again and unlocked more marks of ruination from the devastation. So you can see various levels. You start at the ruination level 1, it's between 0 and 24, and it unlocks these units in the rewards of Dread. On level 2, you unlock additional units that can be unlocked in the rewards of Dread, and it gives you access to a second army. Not only the Beastmen have the capacity for units, but they also have capacity for armies. So at the start of the campaign, you have only one army. You fuck it up, campaign is done. You don't have a Hearthstone, you don't have a second army, you lose, you're defeated, campaign is over. So don't, you know, play a little bit careful in the beginning. The Morghur start is extremely easy. Get a Hearthstone up and get Dread up, and you unlock, you know, second army. This second army can be unlocked by either with Ruination or with the rewards of Dread Confederation. We'll get into this. On level 3, you need more marks of ruination. You get unlock even higher tier units, more armies, and Horde building starts to get cheaper. The Horde building costs are actually no joke. There is 10 different types of buildings in a Horde, and they are expensive. They are expensive, and as you have limited favor in the beginning, and you might be playing as Morghur, just think about it. Don't build everything. Unlock the important stuff. We'll get in the building side of things later. So things get cheaper. You get to unlock more levels. Level 4 Ruination is pretty much critical mass stomping time. Not only it gives you access to all 4 legendary lords with true army capacity, but you also unlock additional Hearthstone shard. You might unlock additional Hearthstone shard if you confederate a legendary lord which had Hearthstone raised but has not completed the ritual. In the case of Khazrak, we confederate Khazrak. He didn't have an army. They have been actually stupid good. But he got an access to a 3rd army without unlocking army capacity. You go over capacity, but you still get control of his army. So we confederate the Khazrak. He didn't have the army. He got destroyed. But he had a Hearthstone, which did not complete the ritual. So by completing a ritual here, we unlocked another Hearthstone shard, because when completing a ritual, you release a Hearthstone shard that's been used here. So you get 1 more Hearthstone shard even before you unlock like level 4. On level 4 is pretty much critical mass, and it doesn't take long to get this. It's kind of a little bit silly. 100 only. You see this big gap here, and you see these small gaps here. So I would say that this should be a little bit higher, especially level 4. Level 4 should probably be like here. So these early ones get unlocked a bit fast. The moment you have access to a 2nd and a 3rd army, this will get faster and faster, so there is really no point that level 4 is here. It's understandable they don't really want to wait very long to unlock Minotaurs, but getting even more stuff here this early at only 100 Marks of Nation, which is not a lot because you already had the 2nd and 3rd army. At this point, it's just downhill and stomper time when you unlock this. I think this is too soon. This is probably maybe at under 50. There is several elements on this rework which cause a massive snowball effect, which is the only bad thing about the Beastmen Rework, and everything feeds into it to make the things snowball to the point when you have an avalanche, and you just get so far ahead, trivializes the whole campaign. If you're effective at this, it can be even faster. So I would say the level 4 gets unlocked a little bit too early, possibly even level 3 should require more marks. But as you go further, you unlock, you see on level 5, only 150 marks, and you have unlocked your tier 5 units. I kid you not, this can be done even before turn 30. You have tier 5 units and access to 4 armies that don't cost anything but just create resources. Of course, to increase the quality in all those armies, you need Dread. We'll unlock, check the rewards Dread. And after level 5, it's just a matter of time before you reach the higher levels to ultimately unlocking 500. And at 500 Ruination marks, the Further Devastation doesn't do anything other than enabling a ritual, so you can lock regions they cannot be resettled. You also have access to more shards, so you know you need to complete the rituals to release shards. You don't want to have too many of the same at the same time. I think once the Ruination, Marks of Ruination hits 500, they should have made further rituals. Should literally, once you complete it, the Devastation should be converted to Dread. One Devastation could be like 2, 3, 4, 5 Dread. So it makes sense that further Devastation actually does something other than getting 10 to enable the ritual, so you can lock an area to be defiled so they can be resettled. So they kind of missed an opportunity here, where further Ruination of marks could be converted to Dread. Dread you need throughout the campaign. Doesn't matter what stage of the campaign, Dread will unlock things, which we'll get into it now. So this is the Marks of Ruination. The final one also enables the final battle, which is required to win short or long campaign victory. So Bloodgrounds, Hearthstones create Bloodgrounds, Bloodgrounds get the Devastation, and Devastation locks Ruination, And that's how you progress through the campaign, unlock higher tiers, and more stuff. Need to get some water. So with the Ruination level, you get access to 5 armies total. You have starting 1 plus 4. You get access to more Hearthstone shards. Getting access to 6 Hearthstone shards, which is 1 plus 5. We have 7 here because we confederated and we got additional 1. You literally don't even ever going to really need more than 3 or 4. Not really. Unless for some reason you don't want to area defiled and you want your maybe your Skaven allies take the territories, become stronger because you have military lines with them. You don't only want to defile an area if your ally might be there. I'll give you an example when an area you might not consider to defile an area. Let's say Lastria here, and let's say Clan Pestilence. Let's say you want to make Clan Pestilence super strong, and you literally destroy all their enemies in front of them, and you push them onto other factions, like let's say Ultuan. So in this case, you don't want to complete the rituals in this area. You want the Skaven to just take all these territories, get 7 to 10 armies, and have military alliance. And if you're doing like a big campaign, you can use the Skaven against Ultuan, whoever is your enemy. Have them become your main ally, and together you fuck shit up. This is a reason why in some areas you don't want to complete rituals. Because the moment you complete the rituals, all the ruins in the area cannot be resettled, so you weaken them a bit. Especially if it's a war, if the settlements are flipping, because the area also might rebel. Chaos rebels can destroy cities. It can happen. You see here Hergik and Wolfenburg. These were vampire cities. They got destroyed by the Chaos Rebels. And now they are defiled, nobody can take them, because the ritual has been completed. This is just one example. So, completing rituals is usually the way to go. Keep everything just defiled. Or you might, in one case, rare case, decide you want to have a powerful ally, which might not be a thing to do before the Chaos Invasion, because the Chaos Invasion might declare war on them and you at the same time. So you don't really want to go against the Chaos. You could also just help the Chaos if they still work with you as before, and have a campaign where you're not Chaos, Warriors of Chaos, but help the Chaos actually win for once. So you can ally with Chaos against everybody else. So this is the Hearthstones and the Bloodgrounds and the Ruination. They are pretty much all one mechanic. The second mechanic is the second currency other than your currency, which is favor, money, gold, whatever you want to call it. Dread. Dread is the second currency. It's unlocked through Taurox Rampage if you're started with Taurox. More enemies you kill in battle, more dread you get. There are buildings with which generate dread. Up to 100 to tier 5 per turn. When you raise settlements, and there's also quest battles can also give you dread. I have not really seen any missions that unlock dread. Like look at see here, no dread, so there's favor. So mission events is a little bit weird. So basically, it's a resource you want to generate. It's a resource you're going to need lots of it, hundreds of thousands of this. Because what does the Rewards of Dread do? You have actually a button here, Rewards of Dread, and look at this. Wow. Wow, shiny new interface. And in the Rewards of Dread, you got unit caps, laws and heroes, upgrades, and the added items, nothing to do with Dread though. We'll get to this. So basically, you get Dread, and you can unlock other units. Units have cups. The only units that don't have a cup are the starting units, the Ungor Spearman Horde, Ungor Raiders, and the Chaos Warhounds. So you can see here, no cap, no cap, no cap. Everything else has a cap. So you can't just spam units. You need to plan your armies, spread quality units around the armies, and promotes variety, and it works, and it's amazing. You can still spam specific type of units depending on the bonuses, like extra chaos spawn, Jabba slides in the his army, extra Minotaurs in Taurox army, or depending, you know, also what you like. Our armies are pretty much a mix of variety, as you can see here. We got pretty much infantry foot soldiers mixed with swarmy field fast units with you know, specialized units like the Chaos Spawn here, like the Minotaurs here. You can see there are different stuff in the armies. This is pretty much mid-game, but we are in already reached critical mass a while back, and it's like getting to the later game. And these armies are working. They're winning battles. They're defeating enemies. Some better than others. If an army can't do it, we just get somebody else, you know, to go in that area. You know, we send the army for the job. We're gonna deal with powerful dwarf armies. We're not gonna send this guy alone. We're gonna send this guy with somebody else, or we're gonna send our powerful army, Morghur. We're just gonna bully dwarves. So you send the right army to deal with the right faction. You deal with a minor faction, like you deal with Bretonians in the desert. Well, this guy will do. This guy will do. Doesn't have to be anything special. You get your foot soldiers. You get some support. You get some big monsters, you get faster units, and you get the units that can fit both roles. Either, you know, go with your foot soldiers or join with the faster units. So this rewards of dread system has done an amazing job in this, and it should be probably used as a template standard for literally every single faction game to not only promote variety but also work at the same time. Some of these areas here are not perfect. So, for example, Bestigor is alone, and it has the same base cost as the Great Weapons Minotaur. What are you going to unlock? A unit of Bestigors or a unit of Minotaurs if it costs the same? +1 Bestigor, +1 Great Weapons Minotaur. Decisions. Will I unlock another Bestigor Horde or another Minotaur? So, will I unlock a Gorgon, a Jibber Slide, or another Bestigor? So, we'll get into this. Let's just talk about this, the rest of things here first. Before we go into detail here, let's show the other tabs. This is Lords and Heroes. You can confederate other factions. This is actually part of that snowball effect. The worst thing about the Beastmen Rework is this area here. It is too cheap, and it does not unlock this Lord. It confederates their faction. So what's bad about this? Bad about this is that you get access to those faction assets. Their armies, their heroes, and even their blood ground. So what is the problem with this? In this campaign, I started with Morghur, and I already played Beastmen once in the new rework with Taurox, and I understood what this means. A lot of people might not understand what this means. When you started a campaign as a Beastman, any of these factions, other factions also exist in the world. You start with Morghur, Taurox, Malagor, and Khazrak. Their factions are placed in the world. You start with Khazrak, Malagor, Taurox, and Morghur are placed in the world. So how can you use this to your advantage? Well, all your early dread, you're not gonna unlock unit caps. You know, are you gonna unlock? You don't even have access to it. You don't really need unlock Ungars with shields. You don't really need poison warhounds when the all regular warhounds are pretty much gonna be identical minus the poison. You don't really need pigs, harpies. These guys are not even unlocked. So at the very start of the campaign, you have nothing to spend dread on, nothing real that you need. But there is this thing for 1200. Not only you unlock a lord, you confederate a faction. This campaign, it was like turn 16. We didn't even had a Ruination level 2, which unlocks an army. We have unlocked Taurox, which is the natural thing to do. What has this done? For 1200 dread, we got Taurox, we got additional hero. Our army has went over capacity, our heroes have went over capacity, all our units available have went over capacity. But most importantly, at the very start of the game, we were no longer Morghur of the Shadowgave, but we were Morghur of the Shadowgave and Slaughtered Tribe at the same time, minus their faction effect. So at that point, we controlled two factions at once on two different continents. And you can see where this creates a problem with the snowballing and balance how you progress to a campaign. Everything just feeds into everything else, and this creates an avalanche of you just getting ahead, where you are the legendary enemy dealing with normal enemies, where the enemy cannot keep up anymore. So you can get to a point where the next one that costs 1200, we should probably cost 2400, the next one, not 1200 each. You get this one 1200, next one could be 2400, and then the third one is 3600. It's that strong. The first one you unlock, you go to your camera settings. When you're playing with a Beastman, you can see all the factions in the world. All the factions exist in the world. You just look, just to confirm, turn 16, Slaughtered Tribe exists. They exist! Oh my god. That means they have at least a Hearthstone or not an army, if not an army. So basically, you save 1200, which is the natural thing to do to unlock a second lord. You're not gonna get some lord, some generic lord, beast lord, or other lord. You're gonna get a fucking legend lord. You're gonna click this button if Taurox is in the game, and with that button, you don't unlock this lord. No, 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 no. You confederate this faction. Simple as that. Turn 15 or 16, depends how much dread you have unlocked. And all of a sudden, you have two armies. Before second army was unlocked, before those capacities were increased, and you get an extremely powerful legend lord with a Gorgon in his army, and the AI has 500 experience per turn. All those units are rank 6 or 7. You get his hero, all his assets literally, except his, treasury. And, his resource. So basically, with a little bit knowledge, you get a second faction within the Beastmen, where they don't have its faction effect, and you double what you have. And this double on turn 16 will start creating double resources way ahead of time. The next one can be unlocked as well. At that point, Malagor is most likely dead. His faction, you double check, he's alive. Oh my fucking god, he is alive. 10 turns later, 15 turns later, you confederate another faction. You might have not even unlocked the second army. You might have 3 armies. I don't know about you guys, but my head is fucking exploding at the possibilities if this happens. Unfortunately, the Malagor was destroyed at that point, but we have seen Khazrak. Khazrak usually has Hearthstone in Bali. We can confirm his exists to the camera settings. And we did not get his army. We didn't get any of the heroes, but we got a Hearthstone here. But imagine 10 turns later, 15 turns later, we got a third army before it was possible to unlock. Imagine the super snowball avalanche you can create with that. Just confederating Taurox there was incredible. Just the most incredible thing that can happen in a Beastman campaign. We get Taurox with his army, all his units, rank 6+. We got a second hero. Taurox is incredibly powerful, just starts bullying everybody here. We started even just going after the high elves, nothing they can done about it. And we got a Gorgon. We start making double favor, double dread per turn from the very start, before it was even possible to unlock. So this is a problem of the snowball. The only really bad thing about the Beastman, how fast this can progress. So my suggestion for this, maybe they do it in Warhammer 3, maybe they revisit this. I'd expect the exact copy-paste of this in Warhammer 3 with additional bugs onto the next rework. But two things should be done about this. First, these costs should increase. If you unlock Taurox, Malagor and Khazrak should cost way fucking more. Just double that shit. Because not only this confederates, but unlocks the lords, makes the regular lords. You're gonna have 4 lords, you're gonna get 4 legend lords. You're gonna not gonna play with regular lords. If they give you access to force confederate other factions, 1200 dread is way too low. If they wanna keep this at 1200, they should not confederate a faction. They should just unlock this lord. Which means at the start of the campaign they need to remove all legendary lords of the Beastmen other than one that you're playing. So confederating this is should be extremely more expensive. Or this cost is to just unlock this lord. If they just unlock the lord without giving you access to all their armies and assets, it should just be 1200, 2400, 3600. If this just unlocks a lord. What do I mean by this? By this I mean you go recruit a lord, you have a legendary tab here, and now you can recruit a rank 1 Taurox. Which means if they do it like this, they remove other legendary lords of Beastmen from the game. If they want to keep them, and if they want to keep this a confederation, they literally need to increase the cost of this. It's like 1200 is ridiculous. This is beyond ridiculous. For a confederation, this should cost probably 3000 each. If not 3000, 4000, 5000, 1200. This is whoever done this is like they didn't really think about the campaign past turn 30. They should have run some numbers, and what does this mean, confederating this early? Or a faction that has no costs. One thing is confederating this early with the Empire or the Dwarves. You have to get an army which costs money. But when you confederate a faction that you don't have to pay for any of those units, you keep all those units and you get a powerful legend lord, what the fuck were they thinking? This is the main problem with the Beastmen, this early confed. Early confed is just creates a super snowball. These costs need to be adjusted or reworked. If this is just unlocking a lord, this costs first one 1200, second one 2400, third one 3600. You should not just be getting powerful legendary lords at 1200 dread. This shit makes no sense. If this is to be a confederation, this should be 3000, 4000, 5000. No second thoughts. No second thoughts. There's the regular lords that exist in the game. These are all powerful legendary lords which will just make things go out of control. So this is regarding lords and heroes. Regarding heroes, you can unlock the capacity here. This is great. This is nothing really to say about this, just this is a good job. You get dread, you unlock capacity of heroes, you want more Wargors, click on Wargor, more Gorbull, click on Gorbull, Red Shaman, you just invest dread, you get more. Because how this works, you're going to ignore unit caps, you're going to ignore heroes, you're going to ignore upgrades, you're going to click, click, click. Especially if they still exist as a faction. This is so fucking powerful that your first 1200 dread will always go on a Taurox, unless you can check on the camera settings. Taurox, at that point the campaign has been destroyed. If Malagor is in the game, get him, because you get his army and you can start doubling your favor and dread because you're gonna playing with 2 armies. Because how this works with Confederation, you don't just play Morghur the Shadowgave. You're literally playing Beastmen, the old Beastmen, with all the lords, with the faction mechanic of your starting lord. It's that powerful. This creates the biggest snowball this game has ever seen, because they have balanced it for shit. These devs suck at the metagame, and they have not really adjusted any of this shit. They've adjusted only the most overpowered shit in the game that has ever been released, which is the Taurox Rampage. The Rewards of Dread should have been the next thing to adjust, but like I said, the game is getting abandoned. Warhammer 3 is coming, and this is gonna be important for Warhammer 3. This shit needs to be adjusted. the Beastmen can be even more incredible they are right now if this thing is more balanced. This shit is overpowered, and it's fun mechanic rewards of dread, but if you're good at the game, if you understand the game, if you are effective, and I'm not talking about stinky cheese, this is ridiculous, beyond ridiculous really. The strongest mechanic in the game for Snowball has been added to the game. Both Rampage and this thing had to be adjusted at the same time. They haven't really done anything about it, and they just let it go. They left all the bugs in the game, the broken AI and the ambushes, the weird battle AI behavior that introduced with it, and all the bugs that came with this as well. Main bug being unit capacity. We're not gonna go into bugs, but there's a bunch of bugs, some of them are major, some of them are minor, that they have not addressed in 5 months of this being released. Shit has been hot fixed, Taurox has been cold fixed, but nothing has been properly patched. They didn't really see this campaign above 30 turns, if you ask me. Some of these things were rushed, and some of these things are not properly balanced. But saying that, it's still their best rework yet, and it's amazing fun now playing the Beastmen with these things here. It just needs a little bit balance and polish. Not asking really much, just one patch, which we got dick. They just done Taurox, because the Rampage, you know, was abusable like crazy. They were shown by certain influencers, and they seen that video 5 minutes. They spent 10 minutes adjusting the numbers, and they left the rest of the Beastmen day 1 status. This is the problem with creative assembly. They don't polish shit. They sometimes rush stuff, and unless the Reddit is crying about it, nothing really gets done. If you don't complain, nothing gets done. If you don't complain 1,000 times, it's only at that point they're gonna do something about it. When it comes to balance, there is such thing as some things being too much, that it has to be balanced the other way around, and this thing existing in pain. Then you can do Mr. Elich. Why you are always dog shitting on the devs? Nobody is telling you to unlock this on turn 16. Why do you do it? And then you complain devs don't do shit. Well, Mr. Viewer, fuck you. This is a strategy game, and the beauty about strategy games is min-maxing. We are playing on the highest fucking difficulty, and there has to be some fucking balance. So fuck off, go watch somebody who plays normal difficulty. I'm gonna unlock this shit on turn 16. So yeah, you could limit yourself, cause these devs are fucking lazy. Not only has been 5 months later, we have received no fucking final update for this game, yet they are releasing Total War Troy Saga that has 500 players. They're releasing new content there, new DLC. Why couldn't these guys patch the game if they decided not to patch the game? They're releasing new fucking content and polish for a game that has 500 players on Steam, and there is a game or a fucking over 50,000 people playing weekly, at least 100 times more. They can't even release one fucking hotfix. They release a cold fix. What we get? We get dick. We get nerf to broken shit, and it's still fucking overpowered. Meanwhile, I'm not saying they need to balance this week 2. But come on, man, 2nd month of this shit. Does anybody work at that place? You got fucking 800 people working at that company. Biggest studio in Europe, my fucking ass. Stop trying to push this shit nobody wants to buy or play, and fix your fucking main game that makes the main money. This shit is fucking premium price. Premium fucking price. This DLC in the Warhammer 1, DLC Warhammer 2 cost like a fucking game. Inside a fucking game. And they're telling me the 2nd month they can't balance this shit. And I'm not even talking about balance here. What about the damn fucking bugs? You break the AI in the sieges, in the ambush battles, and nothing. It's just quiet, silent. Ignore the problems. Bugs with the unit capacity, which makes the system rewarding to use. Nope. Nothing. Guys, I'm just gonna tell you. Here, the battle AI in ambushes is bugged. The spaghetti ball has broke. It has cracks, and it is put into other battles as well. Going left is not the only bugged battle AI behavior in the game now. We used to just have going left and the left side of the 4 battles on the ult one being have a bugged AI. Going left is not really a bug, it's just something that should be changed so the enemy army doesn't get demolished because they need to adjust their formation after being attacked, moving 4 artillery pieces instead of shooting. Battle starts, the whole enemy army is going left. What the fuck? Now we don't just have broken AI on left side of fortress gates of Ultron, which literally is broken on the left side, can use ladders. We have broken AI in ambushes, which is starting to pour into other battles as well. I've candidly shown examples, but there is a E10 campaign recently. We had a melee expert being followed by 3 heroes, and they were just going, it's like you guys, you ever play World of Warcraft? You're in fucking Ironforge doing Golden Age of Ironforge, there's hundreds of people there, and everybody's like going to the bank, going to the auction house, they're being productive. And then you have those 4 idiots outside the crowd, and they're talking about, I don't know, they're role playing or some shit, and they're going naked, and they're following each other, and they're going like something at a train. This is what happened there. There was a fucking 4 idiots on the battlefield doing nothing. Luckily, there was a witch hunter who can shoot while move, who was shooting. Master engineer would stop every 5 seconds to shoot as well, because he was, bugged while following. Literally, you had a witch hunter, you had another hero, you had the master engineer following warrior priest. And they were doing nothing, while the rest of their army was getting slaughtered. And this happened since the Beastmen Rework. What's broken about battle AI in the ambushes? Well, literally, it's turned into some brain-dead medieval 2 ROM 2 early AI on the battles. They literally just AFK. I'm shooting them with artillery, and they're moving their troops left and right, and all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, they turn their backs and they're facing into nothing. This shit has poured into sieges with reinforcements as well. You literally distract one part of the reinforcements, the AI breaks. The AI fucking breaks, they stop moving. And this can last for a couple of minutes until they wake up and start moving again. And why is this a problem? If you are playing factions that have artillery, literally any medium to long range, the AI does not know anymore how to respond to this. They broke it. If you are not playing melee heavy composition or about to just charge them, they're literally broken. Medieval 2 AFK AI getting shot and killed, they're not even going to give any input to their units. So, and this has poured into other battle AI behavior. It's not just happening in the ambushes. We've seen it happen with the reinforcement battles and the sieges. And guys, those idiots on Reddit, guys, 7 out of 10 people there, idiots, have more playtime on Reddit than on the actual game. And they're telling me, fucking, I've seen instances of 5+ different topics. These idiots are getting upvoted as well. This is nothing new. The AI has always been like this. Fucking hell, man, this company has the best crowd that ass-licks them of all companies. They break shit, they don't have to fix anything, hotfix anything, patch anything, polish anything, and they say the AI has always been this bad. Guys, I played this game over 9,000 hours, and we just even played it, We studied this shit, we pay fucking attention, which turn us into a, jaded complainer. And, it's hard to, be happy anymore, but we can still be content and, you know, satisfied, if not happy ever again. But I'm telling you guys, they have broke this shit. Just start paying attention if you have not experienced this, and you will see it. Don't you be the fucking idiot that says the AI has always been this bad. But this is the next line of defense of the White Knight unit. The AI has always been this bad. Man, I kid you fucking not. They have made the AI go full retard, so we can experience the full retard AI of Warhammer 3. Probably the reason why they have released, delayed the game. Why they have delayed the game. So they adjusted the end of Warhammer 2 AI to go full retard in 1/3 of battles, so their Warhammer 3 AI looks better. Cause guys, I need some water, hold on. We have seen the Siege rework, we have read the text. We have read the text. We have read the bullshit between the lines, you know, boosting pre-purchase sales. We have read those improvements to the AI, just watch the old Jibber Jabbers. We have read this shit, and we have seen the video. The Khorne versus Cathay video, Siege. And I'm telling you, they have just put Rome 2 or Thrones of Britannia AI into the game. The Siege AI. That has different objectives during Siege while being attacked. The AI literally just goes Pepe Meltdown. Pepe Meltdown because they can't do multiple things at the same time. And they try to do it even while getting attacked. This is the literally Rome 2 Siege AI at some point in the game. And I feel like because they made the sieges larger, they just taken the Siege AI from those games where they had a big city. They just copy-pasted the code, no doubt. Maybe did a couple adjustments, but I'm telling you, it is a disaster. Maybe that's the reason they had to fuck up the battle AI at the end of Warhammer 2 and not just some spaghetti ball bug. So, you know, we can brace ourselves for Warhammer 3. But no worry guys, after you buy 10 DLC and spend another 200 euro on the game, this all shit will be fixed. If not Warhammer 3, in Warhammer 4. Anyways, that's all I'm gonna say about this. Fucking lazy shit and polishing that doesn't exist. And they say on their website they're all about quality of creative assembly. Quality, yeah. Hold on guys, hold on. It's like, yeah. It's like, yeah, I just keep coming back to these guys. I'm just like beating the you know what they say. What do you say? Look at this, guys. Look at this. Everything we do is about quality, from individual actions to final products. Warhammer 2 final product, you abandon this shit. Just tell what it is. Abandon this shit because you same as the Warhammer 1. You're moving on. Can't even pitch it properly. We take pride in the detail and authenticity of our creations. We focus on our strengths as a studio. At least my work across different projects, but our goals and vision should be clear for everyone. Quality, look at this. Bold. Fucking bold here. Yeah, kinda hard to deliver quality. It's like, you know, let's say you buy a bread. You buy a bread and then you buy this, I don't know, you know, buy this cream called creative assembly, but the bread is big. You know, you have 10 pieces of bread, but this cream CA can only go, you know, so much on every piece of bread. So, you know, largest studio in Europe, 800 employees, teams within teams, teamception. They are more focused about, you know, releasing an update to a saga game in the middle of Warhammer 3, hyping, than about, you know, polishing shit. And here, you know, delivering a final update to Warhammer 2 like they did Warhammer 1. And so many fucking teams, this scream, you know, 3 or 4 pieces are Warhammer, but, you know, this cream no longer, you know, is, you know, this is done. They're putting that cream on other pieces of bread, you know. It's like, yeah, They deliver this quality, guys, yeah, when it suits them and on what product. That cream, you know, went on the Troy bread, not on the Warhammer 2 bread at the end. So much cream to go on and so much bread. You know, if they're gonna sell so much bread, this small indie company, you know, they need to get more cream. Because, you know, we're getting sick. I want to eat more cream. Fuck the bread. Because, you know, when I get a good when I'm gonna eat some cream, I'm not just gonna get like little you know, just a little bit on the bread. I just want to put a lot of it on one piece of bread, and I'm gonna enjoy it. And I don't give a shit about a piece of bread that doesn't have enough cream. But they've decided that, you know, there's enough cream in there, and they move that cream on another piece of bread. You know, guys, what I'm saying? I'm getting sick of this shit. And now we're getting even more fucking bread, like shit ton of fucking bread in a new game, and there's only so much cream to go. There's only 365 days in the year, 12 months, and this cream is not being evenly divided. They don't have the right priorities. They know this shit is gonna sell, but the other shit is questionable, so they put more cream there. Fucking hell, more cream on a 500 player game than a 50,000 player game. Too much bread and not enough cream. Stop fucking expanding the bread. Get more cream. You know what I'm saying? We've been getting more and more bread in the last 3 years and not enough cream. And you can feel it in Warhammer 2 ever since the Saga game started releasing. Multiple teams my ass. Anyways, yeah, where were we? Now, the rant done. We're talking about Beastmen here. We're talking about rewards of the dread and issues with balance. This great rework could have been perfect if they just balanced it and polished a bit, fixed some bugs. This is, guys, this is just incredible. This didn't even require that much work. I guess they didn't prioritize it. They really didn't prioritize it. The third thing are upgrades here. The Hearthstones have levels. They go from tier 1 to tier 5. And this is a very important one, especially the first two. Because as you get the higher Hearthstones, they get better garrisons. They get access to higher tier buildings. Not only you can get ahead of the curve from the other things, but you can get ahead of the curve at this. So basically, opponent doesn't even have access to tier 4 units. You're literally having tier 5 garrisons with 4 giants. So this is like everything just goes into everything, just makes this snowball even worse. This is balanced for shit. So in upgrades, you can upgrade your Hearthstones, you can upgrade the rank of your lords and heroes, the new ones, and you can also have the hordes. The new hordes start with higher tier and few buildings. I think this side is fine, more or less, except the one here in the middle. The one ring in the middle, and it's unlocked with Ruination level 7, so it comes a little bit later. You already are pretty much, you know, bullying everybody. And then at this point, you can invest 1500 dread, purchase. Literally 1500 dread can be generated every 3 turns at least. You can generate probably 3 armies every 5 turns. And when the units have no cost, you know, you can see where the problem is. You don't really need it, but another, you know, I forgot to balance it, I guess, you know, people are not gonna notice it. Purchase 1500, purchase 1800, purchase 2100, purchase 1500, purchase 2000, purchase 2500. Well, yeah. Nobody's gonna play the campaign that long. Guys, you guys play campaign with 5 armies? My stat horse have reported me that most people only play with 3 armies. The moment the 4th one is available, they start a new campaign. So this doesn't matter, just, you know, they might have forgot about it on, you know. Yeah, another thing that's been forgotten here. So this is a massive balance issue here. And a minor balance issue here, just a minor one, just a tiny one, because when you unlock all this shit doesn't really matter, because, you know, these shits also cost more. This is poorly balanced, super overpowered, and this is just, you know, forgotten. Not really that important in the grand scheme of things. 4 tab doesn't even require dread, and some of these things are quite powerful. You have a follower with increased line of sight, movement, various banners, items. Some of them are very, very, very powerful, like the Champion Essence. You get 20 attack, 10 ward save, perfect vigor and regeneration as long as you have leadership. 10,000, that's actually quite a bit. If you're doing well ahead of time, no problem. The only cost will be buildings. I don't really have to build anything right now. I pretty much have this on every single character in the campaign. Banner of Madness also really overpowered. Weapon is very good. Banner of Gorok is, you know, solid. Mines are solid. You're really crazy. Look at this item here. It's bugged. Don't even bother with it. 20 power. Don't work. Don't work. It's been only 5 months, guys. Give me like another year or two. Rework in Warhammer 3 will happen for the Beast probably. So one thing I don't like about this, I don't like that it doesn't cost dread. Why is it under rewards of dread it doesn't cost dread? This tab here, in my opinion, should cost favor to unlock and then dread to purchase. If not that, then a combination of favor and dread. This shit should cost dread as well. Another thing that could be here, they could have limited how many you can unlock, like 3 of this or 3 of this. These things are so powerful that just one card having in the army will make the enemy, you know, struggle to actually do anything to it. This type's so powerful, but the cost is high. It must seem high, but if you're doing well, I guess, yeah. Don't, guys, Elich, come on, stop complaining. The devs need to work on Warhammer 3. They don't need to balance your Beastmen. Beastmen are fine. Okay, so let's go back to unit caps. They've added feral manticores to the Beastmen, and they've separated harpies from these two. It's obvious because the harpies start with 2 instead of 1. Instead of putting feral manticore into giant and Chaospawn, it looks like it was a last second addition on the feral manticore. So feral manticore doesn't not even fit here. It should be in this area here, and the harpy should go back here, because that's how they're unlocked. 1 harpy, 1 feral manticore? I don't think so. 1 manticore, 1 Chaospawn, 1 giant? Yeah, sure. You know, these units are, you know, nothing that special, but they added feral manticore last second, and they made this change last second from the looks of it as well. And how do you know for this? Let me show you guys. You see this thing here? Somebody added end manticore units. What manticore units? We have feral manticore. Okay, let's forgive him about this. But somebody added this last second. Somebody has added this last second, and look at this. What does this say? Physical resistance 10% for manticore units. This is manticore unit. Feral manticore, by the way, has no physical resistance. Feral manticore is a below average unit. It will not work well unless there's another flying unit or another unit with it. It's quite underwhelming as a unit, but if the buffs work, if it has buffs and it has some support like another manticore, 2 manticores work well, or a harpy, it will look pretty good. But yeah, last second unit that got added here has no resistance. To make matters worse, the battle skills, which are excellent battle skills, some of the best battle skills in the game, they forgot to put manticore on the battle skill. Imagine having units and you can't really buff them. So what's the purpose of using this unit? You know, having a cool looking unit is all nice and well, but when you are trying to use this cool unit and it just gets wrecked because it sucks, when it just gets wrecked because it doesn't have enough numbers to do anything, it's not fun. So why is this cool unit in the game if it's not going to perform? I'm not saying it should be a fucking Superman, you know, make it a Green Arrow, man. Just like, you know, do his job, go home. So yeah, forgot about the Manticores. 5 months later, no polish, no hotfix, no nothing, but nothing really fixed. Nothing really fixed, it's still the same shit. At least 1 patch, 2 patch. I guess everything is fine. We'll fix in the Warhammer 3 rework. They forgot it here for the battle skill, and they forgot it here for the veteran battle skill. So you get this unit that's somewhat usable if you use it right, but you cannot buff it. And it's a melee unit that rampages, but you can't buff it. And there is such a thing as legendary difficulty with very hard battle difficulty. And before you idiots say anything regarding the difficulty in melee, you suck. Melee works. Beastmen are some of the strongest faction in melee. Moving on. Regarding the rest of the units here, I think most of these units are placed right. I think Harpy should be here, Manticore should be here. And another thing, I think the Bestigor Herd is too expensive. Bestigor's Herd could be with Giants and Killspawn, but second thoughts, it should be, it's fine with the price if each unlocks 2. Each unlocks 2. So I think every purchase of a Bestigor should unlock 2. If not that, just make it cost less. 500 to unlock a Bestigor, when for a 500 you can unlock a Minotaur, or 600 for a tier 5 unit, it makes no sense. This Bestigor is just poorly balanced here. Bestigor is a good unit, but it's not that good. This is poorly adjusted. It's in a unique unit cups, doesn't unlock any other unit, and it costs too much. So either it has to cost less, or each unlock should be at the same cost. Here should unlock 2 Bestigors. At this point we unlocked some units. We have 6 armies, and one of them we're gonna pay 750 to unlock Bestigor. What the hell? 600 for Jabberslide. 690 for another Jabberslide. What? In what reality a Bestigor can compare to a Jabberslide? So yeah, Bestigor should unlock 2 at the same price, or should cost much less per Bestigor. So yeah, it's not that good. The way they made it here, they made Bestigor a tier 5 unit. So yeah, so this is literally the only complaint about this. Arapis should be here, Manticore should be here, and Bestigor should unlock 2 per this price or cost less. Everything else is good here. So nothing really much to say about this area here. Most of it is good, just some changes. Let's show the rest of the Hearthstone buildings here. Okay, this there's a little bit issue here. So this is like the special buildings. You get to get 2 as this goes higher tier. So you got a first building here. Provides a garrison of Centaurs and chariots. The core building only provides a very powerful garrison, to the point where these garrisons are not very important. The fact you can't have more than 20 units in the garrisons makes this kinda like, you know, the garrisons would have the large one, this would be more relevant. So basically you don't really care about the garrison, you care about what the building does. Basically, you get more replenishment in the local region, and local armies can recruit more. You get more 5 corruption. This is the most useless bonus you can really put here. Region is New Rome, and that's it. You're not gonna stay here. Your army are on the move. You let the garrison here, and you move on. This thing is basically just here to prevent anybody resettling. Just here a defense point that make sure this blood ground stays as it is. You get a massive garrison. 15% replenishment sounds something, 5 corruption sounds something, but when you don't have public order, when the chaos corruption is nothing special. We don't have this building, by the way. And this is 93% corruption. The plague gives 50, which pretty much is on all the time. And what does this achieve? It grants you a penalty to Chaos Force. I mean, yeah, somebody forgot to put this into green color. It gives you 10% more replenishment and 9 leadership to the Beastmen. So it's rampant corruption. So corruption is kind of pointless because it's already present out this. Horde recruitment capacity is irrelevant, and replenishment only works for the local region. If something gets attacked here, the replenishment is only going to be solid on this building here. If something gets attacked here, it's most likely going to be one big attack. If there are multiple attacks, this place is going to fall, so replenishment is relevant. Which means, what the fuck this building even exists? Literally, they can delete this building and nothing would be lost. The second building, which at the start you have one slot, which is always going to be your first building, provides some power in all Bloodground regions, all of them. Your army moves to the Bloodgrounds. So this Bloodground here will get this bonus. The overlap regions have been lost, but as you actually move, this will actually do something. All Bloodgrounds get more power. All regions of the Bloodgrounds, not just New Rome, but Salzamund and Perfected Point as well. This at some point is relevant because you're going to be fighting here. But most importantly, provides line of sight over all regions in Bloodground. You can see everything. In Silastria, we see everything. Information is power. It literally, you know when they are coming. It helps you with defense and helps you know where the enemy are. As you are going through that Bloodground, you see everything, and the fact you see this, you get such confidence, it just causes another element of snowballing. It just adds to everything else. The fact you see everything, there is no danger. No danger. Punishment for fog of war are non-existent. You literally eliminate this massive danger of the unknown, what is there. And when this doesn't exist, it fills you with so much confidence that you're just snowballing out of control. So having this vision eliminates complete danger, and this is also another reason why you just want to expand Bloodgrounds and move the map like this. And there is no danger, there is literally no threats. You can see the enemy army, you can guess if you can take them on or not. If your main army is there, everybody's dead. If your secondary army there, they might be able to do it, they might not. You're gonna look for other targets. And this is invaluable. This is pretty much the strongest thing in a strategy game. The most powerful thing. Having the information to know what to do. That confidence almost makes you a good player. You know, it's almost like having, playing with cheats. As you upgrade this player, this building, you get more dread. So it gets even better. Not just the garrison gets stronger, but you get more dread from battles. Every Bloodground Hearthstone will have this building because of the vision. And this is a stacking buff to dread. You get to create more and more dread every turn. And because of this, you progress faster through the rewards of dread. And there is never really enough dread. Even at this point where we're just stomping everybody, we can still use tens of thousands of dread to even, just stomp even more. So basically, this building is the most important building in a Hearthstone. Most important. It's like, don't even think about anything else until you build this. Third building is utter fucking dog shit. Just ignore it exists. It has the strongest garrison. So if you suck at battles and you think your Hearthstone will be threatened, build this building. But not until after you build this building. This building has a good idea, but you don't really need it. So look at this. Siege towers plus 3 per siege item constructed. It doesn't say that you're gonna get 3 siege towers when you besiege a settlement, but you have to construct it. You have to construct the fucking thing. You get more ammunition for your units in the all Bloodgrounds, and the enemy towers get weaker. Fuck me. If I had to roleplay sieges like the CA or the one of them YouTubers where I had to build the fucking siege towers and shit to do a siege. Okay, let's just... You see guys how I do sieges. I send all the shit up. We, you know, take the damage and we just move on. What fucking damage, man? If they have fucking lasers of doom, if my third of my army gets killed to the wall, the moment my boys are on the wall, the settlement is fucked. Who the fuck cares about this shit? Take a little bit damage, city's busted, you recover. You're immediately gonna get the replenishment anyways. Who the fuck gives a shit about this? If you suck at the game and you don't have any confidence in your ability, the only reason to build this is because you get a very strong garrison. Look at this tier 3 garrison. 3 Bestigors, 2 Grievance Miners. You have to be a real dog shit at the game to lose battles with this garrison on top of the other garrison. So, yeah, you get a good garrison, everything else is just shit. Everything else is just shit. This is not for the Beastmen Rosapine, this is a penalty to the enemy. Reload time reduction minus 50% for enemy towers in siege battles all battleground regions. So if you want me to draw you a picture, let's say we have taken Volksgrad. We have created a Hearthstone, and for some reason the next turn we don't destroy Prague because we suck at the game, build that building and we roleplay, make a YouTube video and shit. And you can build this building here, and the walls in Prague, their towers apparently will become ineffective. If it works. I have never tried it to work because that building is so fucking bad, I will never build it. That's how bad it is. So, you could debuff the towers in Prague, and that's it. You can only build 2 buildings in this settlement out of those 4, unless you have a special settlement, which is a colony, then it's bugged and you can only build 1. So, you go just for the vision. The 4 building is fucking incredible, which is another part of the snowball, which just makes everything crazy strong. It's a building that causes a plague and lowers the enemy vigor cap in Bloodground regions. This plague is not as strong as the Skaven plague, but it's more predictable and it doesn't harm the Beastmen. The fact it will also tire the enemies as well in the Bloodgrounds what makes it so good. Your garrisons get automatically stronger because the enemy will be worse in melee. The immediate vigor penalty means the enemy will get exhausted faster, and enemy gets exhausted before you get tired, they will just lose melee. Doesn't matter what kind of bonus they have on very hard, they will have absolutely no chance to fight you in melee tired when you have the setup. They are dead. Doesn't matter the battle difficulty, they can't do shit in melee with this penalty. On top of this, they can get a plague which affects the settlement, provides a positive buff of leadership. This plague also causes attrition to the enemy and it actually does some damage. We could find an example of this plague somewhere, maybe. This plague just goes on and off on here. You can see a buff here. So we get 20 growth, 50 corruption. You can see the Skaven here are dying from the plague. So just imagine you expand the Bloodground, you can see what enemy had for lunch, and you know where they are. You know where to go. Oh shit, look at this. Settlement is dying from the plague. Army is dying from the plague. They're not getting replenished, they're dying. This is the reliable part. This part is unpredictable, can end any turn. You strike here, they're dead. You see the Ataloran, half would die to plague. We come down here, we know where they are, we know they're dying, we just delete them. Skaven are our friends, so we don't deal with the Skaven, but you know, this used to be, people used to live here. Now they're just getting fucked up. We extend line of sight, we see everything, we provide buffs, we cause attrition, and the snowball goes there next. My bad, avalanche. There's about 6 elements of this rework which cause the biggest snowball that's been added to this game. And if you play with the Southern Tribe, it's the most perverted, disgusting shit in the game. Or you can literally probably destroy the whole world in 70 turns. If you go crazy. It's a little bit of luck required with the first Confederation. If you confederate 3 armies before you unlock the second one, you can probably destroy the whole world in 70 turns. Anyways, that's the plague building. Regarding upgrade of these buildings, this building is worth upgrading. They cost 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. The favor will be limited, but if you're effective, you'll have plenty of it. One tip for favor is... I give you 2 tips for favor. If you're struggling with favor on the Beastmen, you should always unlock this skill first on your army, so you get more post-battle loot. Every lord should get this first. And the second tip is have 1 or 2 heroes run in circle in the blood grounds and search ruins. When you have technology and specialists and this skill, here it's Gorbel specific, you don't pay anything for this. So make them just run around and get good at puzzles and get extra money and items. Every time you do it, you get 1,000 favor and a random item. Some of these items are very powerful. Like, for example, Trollhide. 8 attack, 10% damage, and strong regeneration. Trolls regenerate 4, but this guy will regenerate 8, like he's like a super troll. One day the trolls will get proper regen. I think in Warhammer 3 it's coming. So you have 1 or 2 guys just running around the ruins and getting extra dread. If you do it with 2 heroes, you'll get more probably favoring its spend. Another thing to save dread is to save favor. You don't have to build everything in the Horde. You don't have to build everything. Half of these buildings are not needed to be built, they're just building for completion. I was wanting to show that we build everything and we still have more than enough dread. Favor. Favor is this currency. So, there's that. Other than this, what can we talk about else? So this is the challenge of Dark Gods, these are technologies. The old technology tree of the Beastmen, they want to show the game that the Beastmen are not very technological faction, but yet they still have technology. But they already named them, instead of calling it technology, it's Challenge of Dark Gods, and you have to do various conditions to unlock them. Like to unlock this one here, you have to summon 10 units in battle. To unlock this one here, you have to win 4 battles in a single turn. It's good, but I feel like there's a row missing here, which can be added later. It can be related to diplomacy with Norska, Skaven. It could be related to some buffs against various factions. There could be some more. Some of these technologies are really good, and some of them are not very good. Like, for example, the Savage Mantle, it buffs armor on the infantry, Gore Herds and Bestigor Herds. Gore Herds need armor, Bestigor Herds not really. But what about Ungor Herds? What about Harpies? So they just target specific units. There's various factions in the game, like for example the Empire gets plus 15 armor. 15, not 5, not 10, but 15 every single infantry unit. Meanwhile, our dogshit units, the Ungors, can get this buff. So they forgot the Ungors and the Harpies. Some technology really don't work, like the Manticore one. But overall, this is very good. Very good. It's more balanced than the other ones for a wide variety of units. And it's there's still a lot of strong stuff here. I think they've done a good job with this technology for the Beastmen. Like I said, it feels like a row here is missing. Row here is missing, but there's so much snowball effect going on here that it just makes things, everything just, I don't know, look inflated. Look inflated. If they would just balance the 2 areas of the Beastmen, this would have felt even better, I think. The snowball is the worst thing about the rework, because it's poorly balanced, while the Hearthstones and Bloodgrounds is the best thing about it, you know, for what we already said. So other than the technologies and red, there's a button here for the diplomas, the objectives. There is no rights, so they didn't add rights. So they added new factions, another faction of Beastmen. This is the second time they added additional Beastmen faction. The originally was Malagor and Khazrak, Morghur added later. And for the fourth time, they've done the same copy pasta. These are Khazrak victory objectives. We're not gonna go much into victory objectives here, but it's lazy. It's lazy. Every faction of Beastmen should have their own victory conditions. What's the point of starting on various parts of the map if victory conditions are the same? If you're gonna make same victory conditions, make sure they are global and not local to the part of the map. What the fuck is the point of starting in 4 different parts of the map if victory conditions are local? Like, destroy the same factions every time. Make the victory conditions global. Remove this fucking follow man battle. If it really doesn't fit more than one lord, should not even be here. And just do more stuff. If they just remove follow man, I think this is already better. Because this shit has not been reworked since I don't know when. It only fits for Khazrak. It only fits for mini campaign. We're not playing fucking Eye of the Vortex here or the Beastman campaign. These things are pretty straightforward, but it's local to a part of the map, and it makes no sense to have different starting locations on a local part of the map, especially when they added one in the New World in Nagaroth as well. So I think the whole victory condition in this game should be reworked, but the Beastmen are just the most lazy of them all. It's pretty straightforward, just destroy settlements, get raiding, destroy the Empire, Dwarf and Bretonia, and do the final battle. They should definitely keep the raise amount. They should probably, instead of put this rating here, they should put red. And there should be a bunch of factions here. Other factions included Dark Elves, Lizardmen, High Elves, heck even Tomb Kings. And it should tell you to destroy a certain amount of them. And this final battle, it makes no sense. No fucking sense unless they really adjusted. They should just completely remove it because it only fits for Khazrak, really. So yeah, I hope when I open Warhammer 3... when I open Warhammer 3 for the first time, I get a fucking miracle here, and there's a short campaign victory which can be done in one sitting. There's a long campaign victory which would require up to, you know, several days, and a domination, multi-tier domination victory which comes with, you know, a couple of provinces to a fucking whole world. And this should be 3 different victories pretty much for every faction in the game. They could streamline the shit out of it, or they can make it specifically for the various factions. But yeah, the victory conditions have not been updated, and they do not fit Warhammer 2. Especially after adding a Warhammer 2 faction. It's probably Eye of the Vortex to blame for 1/3 of laziness in the Mortal Empires. The mini campaign of Warhammer 2 is fucking up everything for the Mortal Empires. You know, it's harsh things to say, but that's the reality. If there weren't 2 big campaigns, my bad, mini campaign and a big campaign, there wouldn't be half of this half-assing, lack of polish, and who knows, maybe they would have still done the same shit and they kept the same lazy shit here. Who knows, maybe they would have just made another Tsar game instead. Anyways, moving from the objectives, let's talk a bit about the Legendary Lords. I don't really need to go into details, you know, and tell you what to do. You can watch their specific campaigns, but I think since the rework, all Legendary Lords are just well done. Well done, starting with the most powerful of them all, because of the faction effect, the Taurox. On the battlefield, he's not the most powerful one. Even Morghur and Malagor are just stronger. The fighters cannot really beat AoE damage. So they're just amazing. The skill tree is really well done. They kept the value of campaign skills. Their battle skills are some of the best in the game. They just forgot Manticores on the Frigis mutations. That's pretty much the only thing I need to say about the battle skills. You can watch the campaigns. We don't really go into detail here, make another hour out of it. Everything is just well done about the Legendary Lords. Everyone fits like a special role and a certain flavor. Like Taurox with being a beastly lord and having Minotaurs that regenerate and cause extra damage. It's just really well done. I think every part of the skill tree, except the obvious, what is general skill tree, it's the character skills of a really good value. The defense is quite a good value on the lords, especially the rest of the army is lacking, but I don't really go into that. Well done battle skills, well done campaign skills, and well done unique skills. The character skills, suffer like every other legend lord in the game. It's basically not good value, and I'm not sure what can be done about this, or if anybody can done about this. These things could also be unlocked passively as the lord gets higher rank, which would make both the player lords and the air lords stronger, especially the air lords stronger, because these skills have not much value compared to the rest of them. We don't really have to go into a detail of each lord, but like I said, real well done. For example, Morghur used to just be like a dogshit fighter with questionable damage, but they added him damage over time. So he basically gets on the enemy and starts cause slowly damage over time. He's really hard to kill, because he's infantry, small target, resistant to magic, missiles, and he'll just start doing damage over time. With Banner of Madness, he can do even more damage. If there is a mosh pit, you send Morghur in, and he will just kill everything by his presence. With some stats, he can do okay dueling, nothing really special, just a little bit damage on the infantry. His unique skills guarantee him the flavor to go with a Chaos Spawn, some Centigors, a Jabber Slide. It's quite a nice thing with a Horrible Regeneration, the Chaos Spawn. Just well done skills on the lords. They're just like very good job, guys. I'm actually surprised they even nailed the Khazrak. I have to show especially Khazrak. Khazrak was the most basic of them, really. He would just become just a mid grinder against infantry with his chariot. But look at this. I can with Khazrak actually took all 6. Not one other of them took all 6, but Khazrak all 6. Just well done skills. Just supports the flavor and gives strong buffs. Beastmen are a melee faction, but they're not really, just a melee faction like the Chaos Lizardmen or the Orcs that just goes in and kill everything. They have, sometimes, can outmaneuver things. They don't have to put everything into the battle. They could also just attack one side and just split the units and just swarm one side. It's not really a faction of brute force, but it can be also brute force. There is also some, scheming, planning and how you're gonna attack the enemy. One side can just go brute force, and the second side appears out of nowhere and hits with surprising a shit ton of fast units. So like combination of like orcs and the goblins, night goblins, in one army. So just really well done here. Regarding their lords, considering 3 legendary lords are kind of melee and 1 is a wizard, there's clearly only one option for regular lords, and that is a Great Bray Shaman, because you get the wider selection. Not only a wizard is gonna be powerful, but like I said, only Malagor is a wizard out of 4 legendary lords. So it makes sense that at least your next 1 or 2 will be Great Bray Shamans, which are also well done lords. They just basically Malagor in a basic lord version, and they get access to a couple of skills, that Malagor also has access to, and some also unique stuff. Well done, wizard. Well done. And the fact you have access to some nice fighter items. The moment this thing gets in the Khazrak chariot and get access to these items, actually becomes a stronger fighter than most basic fighters in the game. It's literally an above average fighter, and it's a wizard. Just because of access to Khazrak chariot and the items. Of course, chariot will strike against large, but it will bully the infantry. The fact that champion S exists, every single wizard, either the Malagor with his AoE effects, I'm talking more about Brave Shamans. Brave Shamans can fight, and they can fight well as long as you don't send them to counter units. It's excellent. The other two lords, are lacking, especially the Beast Lord. The moment they included Doom Bull into the army, the Beast Lord is lacking. But there's a small difference. In the Beast Lord will be strong against infantry, its chariot, while the Doom Bull will be stronger overall, more versatile, better at dueling and dealing with large targets, but also vulnerable to anti-large. I think Beast Lord is slightly more vulnerable to anti-large, being a chariot, while Doom Bull slightly less. Doom Bull is just more versatile overall in the case, while the Beast Lord is strong against infantry. I think both could be considered. Beast Lord is kind of boring, Doom Bull is a little bit cooler. And if you want to get second armor with the extra Minotaurs, he has extra Minotaur buff. Nothing special, just what Taurox has on skill tree. You can choose an attack or defense with the Minotaurs. This one is an obvious choice, even if the campaign goes longer. If you get like 6, 7, 8 armies, which you really rarely don't, the Shamans are just way to go. The Wizards are powerful, they find arcane items, the Doom Bulls and Beast Lords can't. So the Grey Bear Shaman just wins in this regard. While these things are usable, this is just better option. The fact the Grey Bay Shaman can get almost to the level of Beast Lord in fighting similar tier units, it's a little bit silly. This Beast Lord just have a higher stats. This is basically Thane versus Runesmith thing, while the Runesmith is on steroids. Okay. Other than Lords, we got heroes, and the heroes are excellent. This is the Morghur hero. You get actually some unique skills. It has replenishment, which looks great, but it doesn't work for the Horde, only if you're in allied territory. It actually has extra skills. And because of the access to the items, it's actually quite a potent fighter. Let me show you one of them on a higher rank. These things, I kid you not, is as strong as a Beast Lord, which is ridiculous. So there it is. This thing is as strong as a Beast Lord. You can even have a stronger personal trait, but basically you get a Beast Lord in the army. So it makes the Beast Lords even more irrelevant. The Alpha Beast will buff some of your swarming units, Harpies, Chaos Warhounds, Khazrak herds. It has an AoE buff for defense and leadership. This is what I imagined Emperor Captain would do, except, you know, he would have an option for flying instead. These skills are a little bit lacking. This one is really bad, while this one gives you Vanguard so it gets forward. Not really relevant because the chariots will struggle against large. And I guess if you don't have I mean, limited best figures are limited. This you can totally ignore these 3 skills. The Alpha Beast is just makes the third type of units in the army very effective. Very effective. This is what makes the fast units very good, and these units will be an option to the rest of the campaign, really. We have the Brave Shaman, hasn't changed much. They just added the Khazrak Chariot, which is kind of pointless, because rank 12, rank 16. They have removed the skill here that used to buff attack. So it's missing skills here. You see this 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, half-assing, you didn't pay for this shit. So you see these 4 skills here, this skill has disappeared. So Orc Shaman, except the Khazrak Chariot makes it way better. Easy access to some strong items as well, like Champion Essence. So yeah, it's no Orc Shaman, but they forgot a couple of skills here. Still, it's excellent in the army, and you know, it's a wizard. 3 of your Legend Lords are not wizards, so Brave Shaman's a priority. The other hero has become a little bit less since the change, but it's a Gorbul. Will help with anti-large. You can duel the large targets, and they just get a good fighter in the army. Usually gonna go with some kind of buff as well, like the melee attack here on the campaign map is gonna be more effective as well. Gorbul is just a strong fighter with some extra stats. It can actually have quite the stats. I can't really say anything really bad about the heroes, except the Brave Shaman is lacking a couple of skills. Otherwise, you know, they're good, so they just need to put a couple of skills in the Brave Shaman, and that's it. Unit-wise, we don't really need to go into all the units, but we can mention the newer ones. Since the changes to the technology tree and Alpha Beast, some units are more usable than before. Since the unit caps, a variety of units is preferred, and it works excellently. But this could also be due to the inflated snowball. Some units will just... You're ahead. Remember what I said. Beastmen, when you play the Beastmen and you do well, you are playing with legendary bonuses, while the enemy is playing a normal. So some units might seem better than they actually are, just because you are ahead. But due to how they fight, as long as one third of the army is going with the right setup, the other part of the army doesn't really matter. Even if they're fully expendable and they might die every second battle, you just get them back up. Doesn't really cost you that much. They will not start with high experience. They forgot about unit ranks on the units. I think upgrades, one of these upgrades here could be put here. Units +2 ranks and +4 ranks. Make it 1500 and 2500. They forgot about this thing, see? So unit ranks, 2-4 ranks, easily added here. And what do we say about the units? They added a couple of new units. The Khazrak Chariot, which really nothing to say about this. It's kind of like a pointless addition. Maybe you know, I don't know. Maybe because the multiplayer. I don't know. Vanguard faster Chariot versus a slower Chariot, which still has pretty good speed. That is just much stronger. So basically, Vanguard and speed. Very fast versus no Vanguard and much more powerful Chariot. In the campaign map, Khazrak Chariot is just far superior. It's already fast enough and it has just better stats. So the new Chariot, you know, you get another capacity, you'll put in an army. It's, you know, it will perform, especially against weaker units. Chariots, problem with the Chariots, they are overpowered against infantry, but they struggle against large, so they have to be used well. This type of Chariots do not need to be microed. You send them in, and their powerful anti-infantry bonus is strong enough to even destroy quality units. Just don't send them into armor-piercing anti-large units. You can kill spearmen, they'll take massive damage against halberdiers. They will do well against Graveyard, they'll get murdered by the Graveyard greatswords. But depending on what state in the game they are and how much buffs they have, battle skills, technology, experience and stuff like that. On the higher tier, the units they got added, they added Jibber, which is probably the most powerful unit the Beastmen have. Doesn't mean you have to put in every army. With Morghur, he has a strong buff for them. they get updated. It's Aura of Madness. Basically, Jabber Slide is a mosh pit unit. It's basically a crowd control unit that will not only destroy infantry health with every blow, but it will be incredibly hard to kill because it has access to regeneration from the technology. It not only has strong attack and defense, but also has 25 anti-infantry bonus, which further tells you should go after infantry. On top of that, it has natural resistance as well. This one here, for example, look at it, 30 missile resistance. So even if the enemy shoots a couple of times, doesn't matter. Unless you're fighting counter unit, it will regenerate itself. The unit performs really well against multiple units that really can deal damage to it because they don't have anti-large bonuses. This is honestly, when used right, a complete overkill. If you use more than one, it's just the enemy is just gonna die. Another thing, other than its melee performance, there is this ability called the Spurting Bile Blood, which also causes extra damage every 15 seconds. And once the enemy loses morale on the regular one, they will start taking damage over time, constantly, like Mortis engine effect. So everything in its presence will start dying, while they are getting hit hard at the same time with occasional vortex damage, while it cannot really die. It cannot really die. It has to be countered by certain units. The AI is not very good at countering stuff like this, unless you fuck it up and stay ahead and they start getting shot, charged and shit like this. It's literally impossible to kill it when used right. 2 might be overkill in the army, but it fits. 2 in Morghur's army because Morghur has an upgrade for it, gets the extra defense and upgrades the damage over time thing, so it doesn't require leadership to be lower to be active. It's an excellent unit, possibly overall the strongest Beastman unit to be put in an army. This thing will deliver. The way you can fight, you can always make sure that Jabber Slide gets into a mosh pit and literally just win fight by on its own. If the enemy cannot counter the Jabber Slide, it nearly guarantees a victory in the match. The other unit that got added is a Gorgon. Just think about it, it's better Necroswings. And that's pretty much it. It's anti-large. While it can still kill against infantry, it's better used against anti-large. You're going to have a massive attack, massive anti-large bonus, and it will also heal with a strong regeneration as long as it's in melee. This thing is really weak to range. If the enemy has shooters, it will usually target it. Against the elves, it's not going to be very good. So keep it in the back against the elves and wait for the large units to come to you, the sides or over you. But it will destroy large units. It's one of the most effective anti-large units in melee on a single entity. Some units have become more useful because how their position and the unit caps. So I think regarding the units, there's really nothing bad here. The only thing I can comment on that's bad is Feral Manticore, because they forgot battle skills. The technology doesn't work on it. So Feral Manticore is the worst example. And the range units get obsolete by the melee carnage. So basically, if you try to mix some range units in the army, they do have proper battle skills, but the Beastmen melee range units are not that strong. While in melee, they are quite powerful. So basically, if you want to apply some pressure, the Ungor Raiders are good, especially as the Horde is getting better, because they can almost go around the enemy and start shooting him in the back. But I would find the sending or throwing axis range is not worth it because it has to be microed. You could be using a wizard or other flanking units more effective than trying to do range with the sending or throwing axis. So while the Ungor Raiders is one of the best early game units, The Sendigos throwing axes has limited use in campaign, in my opinion, and there are much better options for units like this. Faster units should hit hard, not have an option for range. While it's still usable with its range, there are better options. The Cygor is pretty much in the same spot as always has been. It has a strong range attack, especially on a higher rank with bell skills, but it's completely optional. You will end up just basically sending it into melee instead. You could pretty much create an army that uses range battle skills and then use range a bit more instead of just charging and swarming the enemy with melee. So, for example, the Malagor army, although I think it would fit best with Khazrak. So, Malagor's army, we went with the Beastlord Spite with the ranged battle skill, buffs all these units, which you also go with a Mage Hunter for as well, same thing. And because of this, we have set up an army in a way which will fight differently. It's not stronger or better, or worse. It's just gonna have to have a different approach to some fighting. While the Cygors are stronger against some factions than the others, like for example, they're gonna be very good against the Dwarves and not very good against the Empire, in my opinion. Because you want to swarm the Empire, while Cygors can shoot Dwarves with great effect. Dwarves usually are slow and not very mobile, and the Cygors can destroy their, their formations very nice. Shoot Iron Breakers, Scoreless Thunderers, and direct rock hits really hit dense dwarf units hard. This thing also has an explosion as well. So Cygors could be good against dwarves as an option. Against the Empire, you really want to swarm them. So regarding units, not really say much. This is like the only bad thing I think is the Manticore. And it's because it's below average and it does not get proper buffs from the battle skills and technology. Technology is bugged and the battle skills don't work on the Manticore. Everything else is just really solid. Like, everything can be used. The unit counts for more variety. I've been literally using pretty much all the units in the campaign. I mean, look at the armies. Look at the armies here. We have foot soldiers, we got our swarm units. These guys can go with the foot soldiers, with the swarm units, and the characters literally go on their own. Jibber slide just goes into where the fighting is the thickest. Yeah, I mean, look at this. You can really feel the rework has done something for the Beastmen that was almost there, but not there, enough. Regarding the hordes, the stances, I think it's fine regarding their movement to have not have a march stance. They hide very well. The raiding multiplayer kind of sucks. The Beastmen is good. Just nothing really to complain about the stance except the raiding. I think the raiding multiplayer should be higher. Most of the time it's just waste of time and situational if you want to increase income or move from one region to another. Sometimes prevent attrition, activate replenishment and stuff like this. Buildings in the Horde. The Hordes now require growth for the core building, while they don't require any growth for this. These buildings are very basic, and I feel like some of these buildings should have some buffs for the army. Nothing really too big. One building could buff replenishment at 4%, another building could buff movement range, like cavalry building could give 10% movement range to the Horde. The Minotaur building could give more replenishment to the Horde. Nothing really major, just small things. Why do I say these things? Because give you a reason to build these buildings in other hordes. Let's say you decide you want to use, infantry is going to be pretty straightforward. The infantry building, I think it should buff Gors and Ungors. Just a little bit. And you're gonna go for, let's find a horde here. Let's say Khazrak's horde. As a Horde, we have infantry, we got a couple of heavy great weapons, miners, we got harpies. So in this Horde here, since we decided it's like this building is useless. This building is useless. Upgrading this useless. So yeah, other than completing the Horde, you need lots of favor for this. This is expensive. This is not cheap. You should handle it well, otherwise you're gonna be out of favor at all times. Maximizing the favor income, minimizing the favor expenditure. And the best way to do it is not to build every single building in the Horde. Just build the important stuff. Tier 5, what units you're gonna use? The magic building, the dread building, the loot and plunder building, and the ruination building. Ruination building is could also be just used on the lower one, but I find that in some battles using violent entropy more than 2 times is nice as well. Removes the enemy ammunition in range. So basically, buildings are expensive, so this needs to be managed. Population is only for a core building. Core building is really basic, and I think few of these buildings, especially basic military recruitment, should have some movement range on them. Movement range and replenishment. This is one thing they forgot. This could also be a separate buildings, or you could just attach to a cavalry building and miner building. So it's pretty straightforward, just basic, literally really basic stuff. Unlocks recruitment and unlocks the tiers. Gives growth Horde to other factions. The Horde growth is now a really no-brain. The more Hordes you have, the faster the other Hordes grow. The special buildings provide a Shadowstone ability which can destroy a wall, damage unit on the wall. Starting power, more power. This is probably one of the most important buildings of the Horde, because you get dread per turn. More dread, you unlock more things faster, snowball faster, have stronger armies faster. This is also a very nice building here. It will not only provide more post-battle loot, which will give you access to more favor. You should get this faster as fast as possible, because not only you find gonna get more favor from battles, but you also find more items. This building is not that really important. You can just keep it on tier 3. The corruption is kind of pointless, and the vile entropy, you already now have more than enough corruption just by being there. The extra corruption is pointless. The vile entropy is an ability which lowers their range and depletes their ammunition significantly. So some of these things are really optional. You can literally get away with just building 1/3 of it, if not just half and just 1/3. You don't need to build everything, but like I said, I wanted to try building everything this campaign and see how the favor goes. We've been very good with the favor, lots of battles early, and we've been getting you know, buffs of battle loot and the favor from the ruins as well. I still wish there was an option when you had an ability. I don't know, we can put an ability here, or you can put an ability here on the Horde. Maybe it could be attached to Bestial Rage. When you're like outside the walled settlement, you click this button and all the defenders from the settlement plus the garrison have to meet you in the field. You know, you can put it on like either attached to Bestial Rage or the you know, cooldown once every 10 turns. So you minimize the walled battles. Instead of, you know, just like, let's say we did this example with Aldorf, and like click this button and all the units from in Aldorf plus the garrison meet you in the field. If you have an army adjacent, you know, you're gonna fight with that army as well. Once every 10 turns, I don't think it doesn't hurt. Lots, but more variety to battles instead of just you know, occasional ambushes, fighting weakened forces from the plague or scattered forces. Main battles still remain sieges with big garrisons, and due to all this snowball effect, it becomes rather soon, and they are not even proper garrisons because they don't really have time to build, because you are snowballing out of control by turn 30. So this balancing with the snowball thing should happen maybe in Warhammer 3. Who knows how this is going to look in Warhammer 3, Maybe it'll balance itself, because everything else is gonna get more powerful. But I think the moment you get access to one more army, 2 armies, the shit just gets like super fast. You might progress way faster than anything else in the game. Now, the Dark Moon event, they removed the penalties. It's just bonuses now. It's a passive bonus every turn. Plus, every time event happens, you're gonna get a temporary event buff as well, like the cost of skill here. We can unlock the certain units for cheaper in Dread. So that got buffed as well. That's another mechanic that everybody has from before. This was pretty much the only mechanic of the Beastmen other than, you know, copy pasta va. So it was the Dark Moon, but it will provide bonuses and penalties at the same time. These new ones just provide bonuses and are quite potent. There is an average version of these buffs and there is a stronger version of these buffs. Some of the strong version of these buffs can mean plus 15 attack for all units and 30% damage for all infantry, which is ridiculous. So stuff like this. Not sure what else can be said here. Now I would just like to see, you know, this balancing thing happen with the rewards of Dread. I think everything else is fine more or less, other than some bugs with capacity. Everything is currently count double, like this unit capacity plus 4. Feral Manticores should be fixed. And yeah, the objectives. Objectives should be more varied, so it would promote also more play value as well. I think Beastmen got it really amazing, because it was the final DLC for Warhammer 2. I haven't really polished it or patched it or balanced it, but yeah. These factions that been released since the Wood Elves, everything has been really excellent. And the Beastmen got the best rework. And the best part of the rework, like I said, are the Hearthstone shards and the Bloodgrounds mechanic. The Dread mechanic is really good, but it needs to be a little bit more balanced. It's super overpowered, especially if you are doing it well. Some of these ruination things should come later, not sooner. And that. Ultimately, it's all about snowballing, how effective we are for first snowballing, and the same old boring objectives that they forgot to change. I think we mentioned everything at this point. You guys have any questions or I think we forgot something, you just say it now. Otherwise, I think we are done here. This is turn 75 and look at this shit. Guys, I'm not even been going really hard here. This is like just pretty standard shit here. I could go really hard here. This campaign will be finished. This was, I think, number 11 Beastmen campaign. We will be finishing up this campaign with a long campaign victory. So we're dealing with dwarves, and there'll be a Taurox campaign before the release of Warhammer 3. We still have plenty of shit to go. This month it's probably going to be another campaign, or 2. One of them will be a sellout. I'm not sure how long the sellout campaign will be, but we might do another one after it. There'll be a sellout campaign with Malus with additional thing. If it gets sabotaged, there'll be a Distal War style campaign with Ironbeard Expedition. And if we reach a certain goal, we'll might be doing a long campaign with Grom, at least short campaign victory. We're approximately ready for a sellout to start in a few days. I think about 3 to 35 days. And we have more campaigns. We're gonna be probably playing shit ton of Warhammer now until the release. I feel like I'm reaching burnout. We'll just do shorter streams, mix a little bit with Gladius and some other stuff. But I'm really enjoying it right now, guys. After that break, I've been doing pretty good campaigns lately. This one was a little bit silly. While I've been enjoying the Chill Clans Hera campaign and this Beastman campaign. This is gonna be the only stream for today, 17 December. I'm gonna be watching, binge watching Season 1, rewatching Season 1 of Witcher, and then Season 2 when it gets released later today. There might be also a short stream tomorrow, but I will see. We'll see. And the Divinity, I'm not feeling it really. Not feeling it. Got disconnected from the game. Anyways, boys, hope you like this Jibber Jabber. I think we talk about everything. We'll have more Jibber Jabbers when I feel like it. I don't really wanna, force it. It comes naturally. We talk about stuff like this. Get everything out in the open so people don't have to watch 10 different campaigns. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 18 December. Take care.